This podcast is intended for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. Mr. Vocelka, we are sitting in your new lair.
In the new shop.
The Harbor Tattoo Studio.
Yeah.
You got bigger and a couple blocks down the street. Next to Anytime Fitness. You're in prime real estate.
Yeah.
I might need to come here more often because it's just beautiful views
It's
in
across
Mound
the
here.
Yeah, across the road from the bank, next to a new restaurant going in next door. Anytime Fitness right next door. Wow.
Brother,
We're doing it.
I just want to tell you from the bottom of my heart, as a friend, as a brother, how grateful I am to have you as a friend and how happy I am for you. And on the record, like, just really sum up, like, how proud I am of you as a fucking angler, dude. Like, I think you kicked my ass this year and a few, like, dude.
Yeah, well.
What you've become as an angler, dude, I'm so proud of you, man. And as a business person, as a father, you're juggling 3 businesses, being a dad, and almost winning Angler of the Year on the Classic Bass Champions Tour, and, you know, having some fun with Teal on the team trail in the meantime.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, it makes me feel so small. Like, I don't know how a guy does that. I don't know how you're not fully gray or bald or, like, even still able to talk to, like, normal humans like me as a friend and as a brother. Like, I don't know how you do it, man. So just congrats, dude. You deserve it.
Thank you.
I'm his normal friend. Nobody works harder than you, dude.
Come on.
Nobody works harder than this guy.
I'm as
Nobody
normal as
deserves
it
it more
gets.
than this guy.
I got gray hair. I'm starting to get that dad bod. It's time to get back into the driver's seat and really hone in on my physical fitness and mentally stronger. You know, I need to dial a few things in to get back into the deal because there's this quote that I heard. It has something to do with cheersing, which we should do right now. Because you're here in the new space and we're christening the studio the way it should be.
Quick tangent.
Yep.
So you know Justin Baumgarten, right?
Oh, yeah. High school buddy.
Yeah, shout out Justin Baumgarten. So I fucked up so bad, right? He got me this bottle of whiskey, Angel's Envy.
Oh, really good.
Yeah, and I was going to, like, save it for the podcast and do a shout out. I ended up drinking it in like 2 days. It was so good. So I'm going to do, like, this is redemption whiskey, but I want to do a shout out quickly for Justin Baumgarten, who's an avid listener of the show. Thank you for the Angel's Envy and highly recommend.
Supporter of VF rods and all the things.
Just a good dude.
Super cool.
He
Cheers
kicked my
to you.
ass on the chain too, on the record. But anyway.
The cheers. So here's some little nugget, right? Cheers to where you've brought yourself, but it's not to the person you are right now. It's to who you were a year ago that got you here. That's something that I have to remind myself that it's not necessarily what you're doing right now. Like the Noah Schultz of the world, the Kyle Schutas of the world, the Aaron Teals of the world, the Sobies of the world, the people that are killing it. They're not there because of what they're doing at that given moment. It's 365 days earlier, the work you put in. That took that long for people to gather the traction to follow you and to build the hype. And you need to remember that a year from now, it's what you're doing today, not what you're doing right now for tomorrow. It takes time, and it's a lot of work, dude. It's a humbling bitch.
I'll be the first to tell you it does not pay off even in a year per se.
No.
Like, I mean, you've been doing this a while. I've been doing this since I was like 12, man. So I look at it as like, that 12-year-old me is just starting to maybe pay off. You know what I mean? But I feel like I'm so much slower at learning than you. And I feel like I've just been grateful to kind of watch your process and watch kind of just how you do life, and just not envious, but jealous. Like, in terms of, I wish that my brain worked a little bit more like you, but yet I'm also really happy that I'm the way I am. And I think we're different in a good way. And I should embrace that more too, you know. But I think you have a lot to be proud of, and I guess, but I have so many questions, but
Well, there's a pie, right? Let's cut the pie into sections and talk about a section of the pie at a time, because we can bounce back and forth between tattooing and VF rods and family and Champs Tour, and there's a lot of pie. I mean, our relationship is part of that pie. So let's maybe start by, chewing one piece at a time and seeing if we can accomplish the entire pie in one podcast or not. Maybe it's just quarter one. Maybe we got 4 quarters. We'll revisit here in February or March.
Some days I'm better at this than others, but the first thing I genuinely want to ask you that I don't know if I've asked you this before, is you had a hell of a year on Champions Tour.
Yeah.
I mean, just a really good year, dude.
Yeah.
Consistent. Almost putting away a couple events, and I just want to know, sometimes you don't realize it till you're looking back, at a season. So we're in December now, looking back on kind of your season and what all transpired and some of the things that you maybe keyed in on. What were some keys to that success you had? Because obviously there's something to your madness, dude. And I think you're definitely riding a little bit of a mental wave, which is awesome. But I guess, have you kind of had time to reflect on that?
For sure. Okoboji was I think an eye-opening event for me. Practice was huge. People always ask, how do you prepare for an event? What are the signals or the signs that point you in a direction? And it was really listening to my gut and trying to diversify east and west rush, Okoboji. And when I just listened to the east side on bites and what the stage presented, what the bass were doing and how they were setting up, it made a lot of sense to me. And to go in blind, almost fishing just 1 bite or 2 bites and not even flipping boats in practice, really, it built confidence in my ability to trust my gut. And that was, I think, the first step to the season. Trust your gut, not knowing exactly what the outcome is going to be, but give yourself the opportunity to hone in on an instinct and decipher if that was the right or the wrong decision, and then move on from that first gut instinct and build upon it. So, hey man, they're at this depth of water on this side of the lake at this time of day. I got 1 bite or 2 bites here. I need to come back at this time, really exploit what's going on, move 50 yards left and right, and really figure out if that was just a fluke or a pattern, and then move from there. And fish kind of chaotic and kind of insane in a way, fast and moving and
in
whatever.
Practice you're talking?
Yes, in practice, but then refining it tournament and day. So not solving the puzzle during practice, but giving yourself enough clues to go down 4 different paths and start with 1 path at a time. My first risk was starting east, the side that we all thought was going to suck. Well, I wanted to figure it out first. Getting a bite in practice and putting myself in 2 different spots in the morning and figuring out, okay, yeah, there's a fish here. Oh, there's another fish here. Okay, there's another fish here. All right, I'm staying here for 30 minutes and figuring out if they're on the lip or the bottom or the top or the weeds, and listening to my sonar, listening to my forward facing, feeling the grass and when I'm getting bit, if it's off the snap or when it's on the ground. And once you developed a pattern, then it was, okay, cast, bait, hit bottom, let it sit, pull it, you slam into a weed stock, snap it, let it hit bottom, okay, boom, okay, it's a reaction bite, okay, next cast, same thing, cast, hit bottom, drag, weed, boom, okay, snap it, fish should grab it on the fall or grab it when it hit bottom, okay, now I have my pattern, I'm listening, and it was going with my gut because I never wanted to start east to begin with. And I only had 1 bite in this area. Why would I start there? Well, because I had a great bite and I had a fish come off before, and it was a similar area to another area, and I have 2 areas, and now I'm going to run it. And no one's here, and this is where I'm going to go. And I got to just keep my head down and fish the moment.
You had one thing to do.
2 things, but yes.
You didn't have as many things to do on the east side as the west side.
Correct.
I was in the same boat,
yeah.
But I was planning to choose the west side, but I ended up choosing the east side,
yeah,
because it's a dice roll.
Yep.
But it gave me the best shot to win the event.
Correct.
Hey guys, this is an exciting one. I just got back from Thorne Brothers, and they just recently took on this brand. It's called Galapagos Fishing. It's a Japanese brand. The guy is a guide on Lake Biwa, And it's just really cool to see some of the awesome products coming out of Japan, especially with the hype around the Sakamata shad. That minnow's been around forever, but there's a couple new products here that I think are going to rival that and exceed your expectations. And the first one is called the Steer Ride. This is offered by Galapagos. This is a 6-inch minnow bait, and very well thought out for not only the rolling action, but also a very unique tail quiver on this one. It's going to move some water. It's a 6-inch bait, and they weight the bottom section and the front section more than the tail and the top section, essentially to keep the posture correct. So the big thing is this bait's not going to over roll when you put it on a jig head. It's going to be that perfect side to side rocking and rolling action. And you'll notice there's these wings on the back of it, and what that's designed to do is maintain a nose down posture while you're mid-strolling. A lot of these mid-strolling minnows, that minnow ends up strolling just like this, and I guess it's a little bit less natural, than your normal bait fish postures. So very unique minnow from Galapagos Tackle. I think Thorne Brothers is the only guys that carry these, so pick some up while you can. As we know, Japanese minnows, you can't get a billion of them, so get them while you can at Thorne Brothers. They've got some awesome colors in that Steer Ride. And then the other minnow they're offering from Galapagos is called the Zegra Shad. So you'll notice that's got a little bit different shape to it. And this minnow is designed to fish weightless on an EWG like a fluke, has a really nice shimmy on the fall. And then this bait's also designed to just swim on a jig head. So instead of shaking that minnow with this one, you can actually swim it, and it's going to have kind of an irregular, natural looking swim. So the Zegra Shad and Steer Ride, you can find both of those at Thorne Brothers or thornebrothers.com. Shh, check them out today.
Dude, that's how every event went this year.
Got it.
It's like
carry on.
Fish the entire lake. Fish the north, fish the south, fish the east, fish the west, fish shallow, fish the edge, fish hard structure, move around, and then experiment. When you're getting bit, look up. Is there sun or is there clouds? Which way is the wind blowing? Fish around until you kind of develop a rough pattern. And don't overdo your practice on one area. Like, you get bit a couple times, you catch a couple fish. There's probably 10 times more in that area than you think. And figure that out tournament day. And that's what I did. I just fished instincts all season long. Some of my boat draws were terrible in the first half. Figure out where boats went what direction. Choose your side. I know, I'm either doing south or north, but figure out where the boats are headed, if it's right out of the channel or left out of the channel or past the neutral zone or within the neutral zone. Fish areas that aren't being pressured, and then learning, not being afraid to learn was like the biggest hurdle for me this year, because it's such a bold win or lose.
What do you mean not being afraid to learn? Like not being afraid for a decision to not pan out? Or like not being afraid to get your ass kicked by somebody?
Not being afraid to approach the unknown. Like be willing to learn the day of the event with enough options, enough tools or ingredients to make the pie, if you will.
Yeah.
The proverbial on, like, you don't know if there's 80 pounds sitting here like shoot have found on championship day, or you just roll up into an area where no one's at. If you're the last boat out, it's okay to not go to your juice hole. There's probably 3 boats there. So fish something where you got bit and then just start rolling, start moving.
Yep.
It's okay. There's fish all over the lake in most scenarios.
In most scenarios, unless we're talking about the east half of Okoboji. But that's not, we didn't ask about Okoboji.
But think about
like
how
overall,
big those areas were pretty big.
I want to know, like, in my mind, there's beautiful nuggets to be learned from adjustments that don't work versus adjustments that do work. And you talk about some of that stuff on the fly that, these are takeaways from this year, keys to your success. Give me some examples of, like, you said, just kind of poking around, not getting too invested anywhere in practice, and kind of fishing the day, fishing the moment. Give me a couple examples of how you had to adjust and what you adjusted with and how that ended up working out and why. Like, because I think that is such a hard thing for certain anglers to do, and confidence is everything, and being willing to be confident in the unknown, or be willing to switch away from a technique that you have confidence in to a technique that makes more sense for the conditions that you have less confidence in, or moving the boat here or there. There's a lot of adjustment. There's a lot of knobs on this on this controller, so to speak, dude.
Yep. Easton Fothergill, I think, says it quite clear, and it's fishing as many spots as he can, as many target areas as he can, and I can resonate with some of that, where it's
I don't think you fish 100 spots a day like him, though.
No, but during practice I do.
Sure.
So if I'm looking at a lake and I'm breaking it up in quadrants, or I'm moving a specific way, whether it's clockwise or counterclockwise, and I'm just hitting everything that I want to, I'm fishing areas as fast as I can to decipher if the fish are predominantly shallow or deep or mid-range, which is a range that a lot of people forget to target. So I might spend the most time in mid-range because I'm a strong deep angler, right? So from mid-range to shallow, I might spend just a tad bit more time in to try and figure out if there's something that you can't scan, or something that you just have to put the trolling motor down and fish the moment. And Minnewaska, I think, is a great example of like a bit of winning and then a bit of losing, right? In practice, I move around and we're trying to find these big schools, and it's not a huge lake, and we're splitting it in half and we're choosing halves. I know I can go up shallow and catch 20 fish pretty quick. In the morning, I figured out a fun power fishing deal, and on camera, I counted down 3, 2, 1. Guess what? I'm going to catch one on my first cast, and I did, and the second, and my fifth, and my seventh cast, and then I'm in 8th place still. How is that possible? Keep fishing. And as I'm moving around and the sun's coming up and things are changing, I'm noticing I'm not getting as many bites, and I'm moving out deep. I'm just not doing it fast enough. So this will be, where in practice I might have responded a bit quicker, noticing I'm not getting bit every 10 casts. I'm only getting,
Interesting.
Now I need to realize, oh, smokes, I should have done this 20 minutes ago. I should have moved out. And now I missed my opportunity to sit on a school I wanted to be on, because I was cracking them in the morning and I didn't adjust quick enough. But in practice, I did. In practice, you can stay on it because there's nothing to lose. And that's where your gut instinct really plays in. And it's okay to not catch them a few times, but you have to be willing to point that forward-facing sonar completely out 180 degrees and completely in 180 degrees, and go from 10 feet to 20 feet back up to 5 feet pretty quick, just to say, hey, yep, nope, yep, shallows going, docks are going, nope, 2, 3 docks in a row, shoot, back out to the weed edge, past the weed edge is a rock spot. Then you can understand the pattern at which is developing that day. Tournament day is key to do that. It's okay to not know where your starting spot is. Sometimes you drop down 200 feet early and you land on a mega wad. I did that 2 times this year.
That's crazy.
Yeah, just because you're thinking, well, the wind's blowing. If I was practicing, and what would Teal do? Well, he'd probably stop right here because it's blowing around a weed point and there's a hard spot, a little stair step, and why wouldn't they be here? They're 200 feet up where I want to start, but I'll work my way there, and here they are. And then you stay there, and you never even get to your juice.
Why would I do that again?
Because you're instinctual.
I don't know.
You're instinctual. You fish in practice not as chaotic, and you think a bit more methodically, and you really fish a spot to understand it.
And I think I don't until I understand what's going on, I don't run a ton of water. I kind of settle in and kind of get a feel for what's going on, and then I run a few different hypotheses from there. But
do you notice though, Champions Tour, if you were to look at it versus a 5-fish derby, Champions Tour, there are more schools of fish doing similar things. They're just not as large a caliber, so you can go down a weed line and still find a pot of 15 fish doing something similar. They just maybe are 2 pounds. Where when you're on the juice, the corner, the nipple, the irregularity, the bigger fish are there to play too, and now you're trying to figure out why. They're harder to catch even, so you're really trying to force the bite, when I'm like, God dang, just go another 200 yards down and fish the next inside turn. There's another pot of fish that's there. Are they out deep or are they up shallow? And
dude, if I have 2 just want to kick myself in the head things from like the last 2 seasons, and I had okay seasons. Like they weren't what I wanted to have for seasons, right? But statistically, I guess depends how you look at it, but I don't like them. And it's like not trusting my shallow water abilities is a big mistake that I've made 2 years in a row. And each year I've told myself not to make that mistake, and I made that mistake. The other thing I think is fishing a spot too long, because I've had too many times where it's panned out, but it's panned out not too many times enough to where I keep making that mistake too, where I'll sit on a spot potentially too long. And I think I've also left a spot too long and too soon in panic though. Like it's
that's a difference between every fish counts and 5 fish derby though. We've sat on spots for 7 hours and caught big ones or a flurry of 2 or 3 bites, but you see that hurts more.
That hasn't been working lately very good either. It seems like it feels that way.
Yeah.
That, or we just haven't found that magic area in practice. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like, to be honest with you, like in practice, I've had good practices, but I don't know if I've been practicing right. I might need to make some adjustments on how I practice a little bit, because I almost figure too much shit out, I think, or you know, I try to give myself avenues, you know, like you're saying, but
time management is a big one. When you look at that clock every now and then and you see 15 minutes go by, you have to almost tell yourself, okay, if I don't get another bite in 5 minutes, and hold yourself to it, you got to go. And then commit to the decision,
right?
And commit to it, and then be all in on that decision. I made this decision because of this, and I'm going to go here, and I'm not going to look back. And if I second guess it, it's not because I did it wrong.
Totally. And I have the shallow water ability. You know I have the shallow water ability. And the fact that I'm doubting that is a mistake. And that is something that, like, I have a bone to pick with that next year. You know?
Yeah, I would like to see your deep water strengths work when you least expect it, because that's when I think you're strongest. For example, and this is the opposite, right? When we fished Mille Lacs, we relied on our deep water ability when the shallow water game was the deal. And we struggled until the very end, and then our shallow water game played. And it was fun, and we caught some fish, and we were able to kind of
throw a tube.
Do it, yeah, right.
Till the end.
Yeah. But
sorry.
There are some instances where we think it's going to be like a shallower weed bite, like in the grass deal, and all of a sudden it's a deep bite and you just shine. And it's something that I think shouldn't be as much of a crutch for you, because when it happens, it's done. Like then it's on.
I know.
And you need to almost push the shallow water thing quicker, because more fish are moving in that direction.
I almost need to spend more, like, it sucks, right? Because should you spend more of your time practicing, like, because if I can, like, I always feel like if I can crack the deep code better than everybody else, I can win. But I also feel like
that's only because you fish slow up shallow.
I can fish fast,
yeah,
but I just don't. But I want to turn around.
I know. Yep.
But I think there's a fast slow that I'm good at. Yeah. There's a fast slow I'm good at shallow, and I think I know I have it. It's just a matter of trusting myself with it and committing to it more, and understanding it doesn't happen right away. Shallow always.
Yeah.
But practicing shallow more is something I should practice those things I'm not willing to do more, to make it more comfortable to be willing to do them.
Yep. You should almost, in practice, you should be pushing the things you're uncomfortable with to try and figure out if you can force a bite or find a bite you're not comfortable with, and more rely on your gut instincts tournament day.
With with what you already know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these lakes that we go to, you have an inkling, and you can look at a map and say, man.
When you can graph them, and you can still graph, and you can make typically a couple casts to know what's going on. The problem is that flip and bite, and that in the grass bite is a little more tedious than that. So that's, I guess, what like I really have a tough time doing is just going flipping like a blind like that, not in practice. Yeah. You know, and I think flipping's a weak point in my game, but I think it's because that's harder for me to stick with, other than I'm fishing deep, go flip up top 4 or 5 times. But I guess looking back at your season, was it like how many different techniques did you employ? How versatile did you have to be? It seemed like you kind of made some shit work with a pretty simple approach, which I know you to be a master of, kind of like our, team of the year staple, that 2019 season, some of that stuff.
Yeah, that tube is pretty versatile, and I'm not afraid to talk about it.
I am. I think so. Don't talk too much about it.
Well, it depends on how you fish it and what line you're fishing and how you're letting it hang up. But, first tournament of the year, the tube played pretty much tube and drop shot, and hair played for me. Second derby was, what lake was that, Gull? Yeah, because St. Croix was third. So Gull was second. Again, tube and craw tube and flipping was pretty much my deal. Heavier tube and thicker grass, medium range is kind of what I started to figure out, and I just ran that pattern. In practice, though, you got to remember to try and find some of these fish fishing faster. I don't necessarily rely on bottom contact. I'm relying on swimming a jig, throwing a crankbait, like throwing some of those Bagleys and those Northland baits above the grass just to isolate where suspended fish were in periods where I couldn't find them, just where I could find like a sweet spot, catch 1 or 2, and then move on. So crankbait was pretty good. St. Croix was a stupid tube deal, but see, that was power fishing. Then I got on a chatterbait bite, and then I was power fishing up shallow, and then it was power fishing in the fall on Minnewaska. So I played a lot with a bladed jig, and I finesse sniper jig, swim jig from Arsenal, and I played around with a lot of moving baits too. When I found an area that was good in the grass is when I slowed down, because I knew I was missing fish. There was more around. Those are the techniques I kind of follow that kind of give me the clues, and I've played around with forward facing for a good chunk of the practice, but I didn't really rely on it much.
Really?
Derby day. No, not nearly as much.
Activity even? I feel like that's where...
Yeah.
I mean, our conversations, you talking about just...
The grass is alive, or the rock spots had something.
Life and and activity, and that was something that, when we'd have conversations, that was something you would bring up, I remember, like prior to an event. And I think, you think about looking at that screen long enough, you develop a muscle memory to it with your brain, so to speak, and I feel like sometimes we see things and don't even comprehend them sometimes, just because it becomes automatic. But I feel like you kind of trained your brain to become somewhat automatic with that, in terms of what you're looking for and knowing when it's knowing the right thing when you see it.
Yeah.
And you definitely figured out more of a mid-range grass deal, and that definitely seems to be what Capra figured out.
Yep.
And that seemed to be the deal when
things either got tough
Team Trail too.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Like that offshore deal on Gull really was not the deal this year. It seemed like it has been in the past at times.
Yeah. Which is great, because the fishery's adapting, and it's kind of taking care of itself, and only a few teams are really cracking them.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see the fisheries that we're familiar with over the last decade change and adapt so it keeps us on our toes. The last thing I want to do is continue to fish lakes that I feel like I know. That sucks. That sucks. Tonka's a great way to humble you down.
I don't mind fishing lake.
You probably got a live scope, but I bet you don't have the scoping rod from Vocelka Fishing Customs, designed to hit those targets right on the noggin on that live scope, whether you're fishing a 3-inch minnow all the way up to a 6-inch minnow, from a 1/16 ounce all the way up to a 1/4 ounce. This is the perfect mid-strolling rod. Visit VocelkaFishing.com. Check it out today. Scope straight or scope home, ladies and gentlemen.
We know.
For fun in the fall.
I clearly don't do as good on lakes we know as lakes we don't know, but I don't mind going back to lakes we know, understanding that there's enough room for everybody. Yep. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's the issue.
Yep.
Where, like, you'd really hate living in Alabama then, Dane.
Yeah.
Because you have 4 or 5 lakes to choose from.
Yeah.
But they're 5 times the size.
Right.
Like, you can't tell me Mille Lacs 5 years in a row that you learned that whole lake.
No, but I do feel like I have to go around and fish all the areas because
that's what sucks.
So much of it's water temperature or grass growth or change. You know, bait. All of a sudden, one area is just loaded.
Right. Right.
You know, the warm pockets over here and stuff's just going, or whatever the deal is, current related. You do have to figure it out.
What was the biggest key to your success this year? Summarize in 2 sentences. Like, obviously you had a career season as far as Champions Tour goes.
Yeah. And
probably the most consistent regular season on the Champions Tour I've seen in all, you know.
Yeah, 4 top 10s.
Yep. I mean,
3-4 top 10s and
3 top 10s. Well, if you include the Pro-Am. Yep. But Champions Tour itself.
Yeah.
3 top 10s. And
then blew
championship.
Blew the championship, but
I guess the Champions Tour is the most mentally grueling tournament trail in the world. I'm gonna go ahead and say that
it's pretty difficult.
Mentally grueling.
So 2 sentences, summarize it. Probably diversify your baits in practice. Fish your gut tournament day. Keeping it simple.
How do you get your mind to do that? Is there, how do you get your mind to keep it simple, or how do you, I like to think of it as you're talking to yourself, or you're having these conversations in your head, and there's thoughts that are appearing that is like, oh no, or oh yes, kind of thoughts, right? Oh no, oh yes.
Yeah.
And you're managing that. You're making one smaller, one bigger, or trying to do that by going this way or this way or this way, and navigating that. It sounds easy talking about it, but it's really the hardest frickin' thing, which is why 95% of anglers, don't make that right decision most of the time.
Yeah. A lot of us watch our friends and our other anglers fish, right? When I watch Noah, for example, I watch how quickly he can set something down and pick something else up. Walker, kind of the same way. He's a little bit more refined. You have a number of twigs that you're comfortable picking up with, but you stick with the same few. And I was kind of victim of even isolating it down to really only having a few real confident baits, right, that I like to throw. If I can throw something that's moving up above the weeds, dragging or sitting on bottom or suspended or high up like a drop shot with a long leader, and I just grab 6 rods in 3 pairs, right? And I have a crankbait, a swim jig, a drop shot, a wacky worm, a tube, and a heavy jig. And I just rotated the weed line and I fished as diverse as possible. That's how I kind of broke down my
largemouth approach.
Kinda. Because I'm so set in my ways with my comfortable baits, and I tried to push my envelope as much as I possibly could. When I fun fish, this is the one thing that I do with my son Grayson. is I go out there and I fish with stuff that I don't normally fish with. And if I'm fishing with something I don't normally fish with, I'll tie it on his line too, but a little bit heavier or a little bit lighter, and tell him it's the deal. And I'll go out and I'll just trolling motor on 5 and I'll move. And I'll cast, keeping them engaged, change my lure, get familiar with these different baits. And when something's working, stick with it and then really learn it. And that's what I did this last year. Is the few days that I got to really go out and fun fish, I pushed myself to try and familiarize
like the live scope
technique.
Thing?
The live scope thing, the swim jig thing was huge for me this year. I'm not known as a swim jig fisherman. Not a swim jig guy.
Yeah, not typically.
No. Well, not a chatterbait guy either, but that's a little bit more kind of just cast and reel. It's a bit more of a simple approach, but diversifying it. I'm not even like a flipping in the heavy stuff type of guy.
No, but you're like grassroots jig, Texas
finesse
rig.
Power fisherman.
Yep, power finesse fisherman. Yeah, kind of like me.
Yep.
Yeah.
But how can I get away from that? And I just wanted to figure out, dude, I rely on the same couple of things too much, and it's more fun fishing in a different way.
But
cracking a different code.
But the lures you were successful on were your staples.
Only because in the majority of the time, I feel like I found those areas fishing with different lures.
So yeah, it's the search then method. Settle mentality.
Yeah,
yep.
In a way. And then continuing that during the day, during tournament day, like being able to just pick up and move. I can't tell you how many times on these tournament lakes last season I caught more fish on an area that I didn't fish in practice.
Isn't that interesting?
I had no idea. I've never fished, and I just rolled up and was like, "Well, we're gonna learn it."
That's how not. Afternoon on Boji was for me. I just scanned an area. Didn't get any bites there in practice. Just felt like it was the right deal.
Yep.
And shit changed, and that's where they went.
And it's fishing, man. We overthink it so much and overcomplicate it. And I'm a very detail-oriented person when it comes to certain aspects of business, but when it comes to fishing, it should be fun. And if I'm not having fun fishing, I change it.
I know you do. I like
dude, this sucks. I'm doing this. I got to move. And through the ice, even right now, when the lakes are frozen, we need to just, if we're not catching them, we got to keep moving, searching.
You know what's interesting, though, about like the style that you were successful with this year is like, and kind of my style too, settling in, kind of maybe doing area and power finesse fishing. What's so interesting was like my conversation with Easton Fothergill and learning about this guy named Bo Browning, right? Because his style is like hunkering down in an area and like chatterbaiting the fuck out of it. And I guess that's like the opposite of like the way you and I hunker down in an area.
Yep.
We use that chatterbait to search and find, and if it's cloudy, we might keep throwing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like the fact that there's guys that have like guys down south with power fishing, like moving lures, is like you and me up here with a jig worm and you know, that style of lure. And it's just funny, like you learn different styles and whatnot. And the guy, there's a guy who just took 8th, 9th place in the Bassmaster Opens EQs, qualified for the Elite Series, kind of doing our thing, but with a chat. Can you imagine fishing our spots with a chatterbait for 8 hours?
It reminds me of Jay
like
Carlson.
Rotating 4 little areas.
It reminds me of Jay throwing a frog in the same area over and over and over and over and over and over, calling them in.
Have you tried? I need to like literally just full buy into a couple of Jay's things, because there's a couple of guys who've talked to me since that podcast and said they literally made that work, fully committing to Jay's deal. So I think half of the problem with a lot of what we do is lack of commitment.
Yep.
And I think a lot of the problem with what we do is too much commitment.
It's who you are as an angler. And we can't all be the same.
No.
And it's okay if we're doing it different. And at the end of the day, if you're not enjoying it, why are you doing it?
I think you brought up a few things like on the podcast though that really do hit home with me. It's like that mindset you bring into your daily life, business, fatherhood, and whatnot translates over, into bass fishing. And I think it's interesting. And I think there's some truth to that. And I think you proved that. The proof is in the pudding a little bit this year with, what you accomplished.
Yeah.
Aside from Team Trail, which,
started off great.
Dude, I don't know
Holy smokes.
What the fuck happened this year with us?
Team Trail wise?
Yeah. I'm kind of reeling back. Like, I'm not dwelling on it. Not dwelling. Like, not from a dwelling perspective, okay?
Yep.
This is just from like a reflective, like a constructively reflective standpoint, because we got off on the right foot. I feel like we were clicking on like 2019 Dane and Teal first event on Cab, and we just literally missed, like didn't get the one kicker bite. But I feel like we lapped the field in terms of overall quality, in terms of how many bites we got, in terms of continuing to dial in a pattern and expand on things tournament day, and so many things, and so close to putting one away there.
Yep.
To kind of like,
what was the next trail event after that? Was it the river?
Where was the river again?
It was Wabasha.
Yeah, was it June Wabasha?
Yeah, because didn't
oh yeah, it was.
Walker caught the.
We had a shit sandwich for the river. You remember?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like both trucks broken. So we had no trucks and 2 boats at the river.
Raptor ripped off my boat.
Raptor ripped off my boat as well.
Raptor ripped off.
Lost my wallet.
And lost your wallet. Your truck broke down on the way down. Danny's truck broke down on the way down.
Drew gave me a ride.
Yeah, it was a shit show.
So that was like our second event of the season, looking back.
And
I never recovered from that.
We went back. That was an expensive
I have
weekend.
not recovered from that.
But we had some fish going. We went down south. We caught a few. We moved around. We got on some hard spots. We caught a couple big ones.
I know what I wish we would have done there. I wish we'd have grabbed our balls and cranked that fucking shit I got in 4. I wish we'd have left earlier and ran some shit.
We should have.
That's all.
Well, that's what happened to us on Mille Lacs. We stayed deep too long in the morning and too long midday.
How long each?
Hour and 30 minutes. We were
total
out there in the morning.
Really? Yeah, I know. I just knew.
Plus fog delay.
They were swimming down there. We could see them.
But again,
in the morning. In the afternoon, we only stayed a half hour.
If you didn't get bit after 10 minutes, we both should have said, dude, this is not the deal.
100%. We should have checked it 12 times for 10 minutes instead of twice for as long as we did.
Agreed.
Key learning moment. Another key learning moment. Just go up 2 pounds on your leader for your tofu, because I broke off a fucking good one.
You did?
Yeah. And I lost another. Yeah. Like, we had just done, like, they weren't biting the same, A.
No.
They were around.
Yep.
But you know what I did wrong on Mille Lacs? I fucked with our fish too much trying to catch a 5-pounder, knowing that that's what we needed. And them high 4s would have helped us out a lot. And I caught a lot of... I was looking for 5s in practice, and I fucked around with all them areas. And I think
we needed 5s to win.
We did, but dude, we could have top 5'd it with 4.5 to 4 3/4.
Yeah.
So my point is we were in front of all of them, and I fucked around with those too much in practice. And what I'm saying is I think on a lake like Mille Lacs with them smallmouth, when you mess with your environment, kind of like when you're deer hunting, like some of the better deer hunting advice I got is stop walking around in the woods so much.
Yeah.
That's what I think I did wrong on Mille Lacs on our end of the fish.
Yep.
Or we should have just gone to the northeast corner way sooner.
Yep.
The question was, how long was that going? You know what I mean? The problem is I just got burned by that damn corner of the lake in that Pro-Am.
Yep.
And I've seen, like, I don't trust any end of that lake, but you got to be willing to move quick.
Yeah.
And yeah, we maybe just didn't move quick enough. You're right.
That's all right. Moving seems to be better than sitting.
Timmy Schroeder's won some fucking money sitting. So it's just a matter of when they tell you to sit.
Yeah, well, yes.
When they tell you to move.
Yes.
But sometimes you got to put, like, are you willing to let your worm sit for a minute?
For sure.
Within that 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Because my 9th minute would be soaking a worm. If I can figure out my process where my 9th minute is soaking a worm for a minute long, I feel like that's a perfect process. And I feel like we should cut that. I feel like, wow, maybe that's Father Gill's deal.
Power fishing.
I fish each spot for 10 minutes, and the last minute I throw a Nico rig, and I don't touch it for a minute.
Unless he's swimming it
back.
back.
Think about how efficient you could be if you could get yourself to be prudent enough to do that. Fuck, cut. In case it works.
You know it does.
It's gonna work. Like, but you're right, dude. That's a mistake we made. We're stubborn. We fished insane. We fished too insane.
And didn't get different results. We got the same result.
We got worse potentially.
Mm-hmm. Got to fish fast, buddy.
Togama, our decisions just mostly worked.
But we rotated through 6 or 7 spots pretty quick.
Three little spots in an area.
And then ran.
3 little spots in an area.
Yep. And it worked.
That's our game, though. That's always been our game. Kinda.
But we only sat on those spots because all of a sudden, yoink.
And then all of a sudden, there's every cast.
Don't leave. We rotated until we hit it. Remember? Moved up, caught one. Okay, fish fit. Nope. Boat's over there. Nope. Okay, go over here. Okay. And then we learned the spot, fishing water. I didn't practice, just knew it was over here.
Mm-hmm. No, I remember.
Catch. Okay, we're sitting here, and then we're going to milk the shit out of it.
Mm-hmm.
We got time. Let's go run. And we did.
Pick up a
fish new water again. That's like, okay, I caught some over here, but catch them. Okay, don't leave. Catch. It was stupid, dude. You caught like 9 in a row.
12. 2 of them were walleye. But 12 on 12 casts. You yelled at me to stop catching them.
I couldn't call them fast enough.
That's the first time someone's yelled at me to stop catching bass.
It was payback from the prior year's gull, or the 2 years ago gull. It was payback.
I was just like, my arm didn't, yeah.
When I was boat flipping 3-pounders in there.
Oh, yeah.
Same thing, just brown ones versus green ones. You versus me.
On gull that morning when you just fucking, I couldn't even cast.
Yeah.
That was awesome. I've never seen anything. That was crazy.
No, you did see it.
Do you remember Whitefish? It was like bing, 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 hailstorm. Bing, 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 bing.
That was 5 years ago, Teal.
That's crazy. That was a crazy school. That Whitefish school was fucking. I feel like we got every fish to bite that day, thanks to the hail.
That was unreal. A lot has happened in 5 years, Teal.
Dude, that is crazy. And that wasn't even the beginning. Like, you got sunburn on the Great Lakes. That was 2018. We almost got lost in the fog.
Yep.
I mean, a lot of things happened before that. Mm-hmm. No.
17, 18.
Yeah. 18, yeah. 17, 18. College.
College for me was 13. But, yeah.
I mean, I remember in college, Dane taught me how to make scrambled eggs in the microwave. I'll never forget that day. Never forget that moment.
Yeah. Most people on this podcast don't know that I was homeless.
I feel like we've told that story, but I feel like, no, they don't know. You were homeless.
Oh, yeah.
Your story's cool, man. I think what's crazy about you is you were always like a really good artist in high school. I remember that. Your paintings and stuff would always be showcased.
Yeah.
And you had talents there. And what's interesting is kind of you wanted to be an engineer and ended up kind of finding the tattoo game as, you know, a way to make a living, which maybe, was that even a thought?
In high school it was.
It was?
Yeah.
Did you realize you could make a living doing it?
Not until my freshman year of college.
Got it.
And then tattoo for 4 years in college and realized, I'm a senior, I'm graduating. I do not need to look for a job or go to any job fair.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to keep doing this because I see the potential. And that's when I started building rods.
And it's kind of like tattooing, a little more refined.
Yep. Not as permanent.
Do you like building rods more than tattooing?
I feel like it depends on the day. I love building rods in the winter. In the off season, because I just need something fishing related in my life.
That makes sense.
So right now,
keeps the blood boiling.
Oh, dude, I go home and I go, okay, play with the kids, sit down, play with my youngest daughter, kick a ball around with my son, go out and watch my oldest ride horses, make dinner, eat dinner. They start to wind down, get ready for bed. I'm starting to build rods. 8 o'clock, 8, 9 o'clock. It's usually in there. 8 o'clock, 8:30. I start building rods because I just get this like tinkering, this habitual, I need to figure something out, I need to tie a guide on, cut a rod, cut a blank, build 6 rods, and then go, Teal was talking about throwing a power something. No, you know what it was? PJ today, he came in and said, hey man, I want to throw a heavier swim bait for walleyes on Tonka and the cabbage and grass, like 1/2 ounce on a blend. Do you have anything like that?
Chicken rod.
That's what I said. And I have a spinning version of it right there because there are some people down in Texas and in Florida that throw it. And there are some other people that like throwing that rod up north for big walleyes.
Speaking of which, if you haven't tried the My Wedge Transom Saver, I don't know what the fuck you're doing with your life, because Mark Raveling is a legend. He invented the best transom saver north of the Mason-Dixon and south of the Mason-Dixon. Now residing in Texas. Thank you, Mark.
Huge supporter of VF rods.
Huge.
Down in Texas.
Huge supporter of everything involving an outboard motor. And if he ain't supporting you, you better get on board. MyWedge.com. M-Y wedge.com. Make sure you get 2, one for your wife.
It's the deal.
It is.
That's the only thing I've ever used.
The rubber steering clips are especially good because they don't wear out like that hydraulic steering point. Like I've seen the plastic ones, you got them rubber O-rings on your steering.
Yep.
And like it starts to like wear that down, and I'm all about rubber like parts.
I love using those steering clips, the black blocks under my trolling motor.
I like to treat my outboard and equipment when I'm towing it like a woman's body. Okay? You wouldn't put a piece of steel in a woman's body. You use lubricated rubber. That's right. Lubricated rubber, which is why we choose My Wedge every day, every time. You treat your outboard like you treat your wife, and your outboard will be happy, and so will your wife.
Oh, that's clutch. Thank you, Mark.
This podcast is brought to you by My Wedge, m-y-wedge.com.
Get yours
How
today.
about that?
I'm impressed.
I meant every word.
Off the cuff.
I meant every word. You wouldn't put a piece of aluminum in a woman.
That I can think of.
Big deodorant tries to with that aluminum deodorant, causing breast cancer. So there's a lot of scumbags out there that would put aluminum in a woman. I'm just saying I'm not one of them. That's why I choose My Wedge.
Noted.
So I gotta ask.
Yeah.
You manage 3 businesses and you're a father. Okay. Yeah. What's the most challenging thing you've encountered through that? Like one thing. And I guess how did you deal with that? And was it hard? And how did you overcome it? Like, and I'm sure there's probably 5 things, but
time management
is the most challenging thing.
For sure.
Oh, I could see that.
Time management with all of them, because with each one, even if you were to break it down, okay, I'm just talking about the kids. Well, it's time management. You have 3 of them.
Sir, that's mathematically impossible.
Like how do you divvy up the time? Do you group them all together, or do you spend more one-on-one time? Or do you focus on the tattooing and grow the business and quadruple your size? Or do you need to take 2 days off of tattooing and focus on the rod business? Wait a minute. You just took over Champions Tour.
Dr. Evil, there's only 24 hours in a day.
Yeah. Yeah, it is time management, being disciplined, just making sure that there's not a lot of downtime where you're just sitting there screwing off. So overcoming it was...
You just kind of quit fucking around?
A program. No, it was a mental toughness program that helped me shape how I perceived time. Helped me refine my discipline and making sure that when I'm fishing, I'm not just kicking back 4 or 5 beers and throwing a Senko in the grass and screwing off. And when I'm tattooing, I'm not just dilly-daddling around, and when I get a cancellation, just sitting there. Or when I have to build rods, I'm not procrastinating and screwing around with just
you installed different software in your brain kind of thing.
Yeah For sure.
Did you know that's one of the most capable things we have in humans? Yes, the hardest thing human beings have the ability to do.
Yep.
I think because of the differences in motivational aspects of our lives, as well as the environments we live in and are placed in. However, there's probably somebody out there that relates with how you do things, and I guess how you've been able to manage that time. And I guess so that challenge, I guess, what did that look like? Obviously you're like, well, shit, I got to build this many rods, and I got to make 6 tattoos today and 12 rods, and Lainey needs diapers and also needs them changed. And we need horse feed, and the skid loader's broken again.
Yep.
And I have to call these 5 people back and text these 12 people back in addition to that.
Yep.
And whatever else goes on.
Yep.
What does that look like? What does that feel like to you? And then how, obviously you don't succeed the first time you maybe try to overcome something. So I just kind of want to walk through that process because it's amazing to me.
It feels like tournament day, man.
Okay.
You're like, okay, how much preparation?
5 fish or Champs Tour?
Both. Depends on the day. Is it a Friday or a Monday?
Okay.
Monday's a lot like Champs Tour. Friday's a lot more like 5 Fish Derby.
I didn't know you get a boat number every morning.
Yeah. Because you don't know what your task list is. Here's one bit of advice I would strongly encourage you try is if you create a 5-item task list, a itemized list of things that are a priority that you need to do that are outside of your ordinary schedule, ordinary routine, and try and get used to doing things on top of your routine and just practice whittling away the goofy little tasks most people procrastinate with. Whether it's finishing a home remodeling project or hanging up the exterior business sign or filing your paperwork to do something for your quarterly report or, cleaning out the horse trailer your wife didn't clean out. Getting used to doing 5 things consistently. You'd be
call out Danny. Maybe don't skip the horse trailer next time. Jeez.
If you get used to doing these little tasks, you can it's attainable to achieve a level of discipline where you're super productive. That's it. That's the secret that I got is just. Do
you block out your time, or do you just write down you kind of have your routine down?
Yeah.
And then you just kind of build a list in addition to said routine, and you try to make. See, you're the best at making most out of what you're good at that I'm bad at is making the most out of 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Me, I'm the best at pissing away 2 to 10 minutes and then going hard for 3 to 12 hours straight. But if I'm doing this then that, I'm the best at pissing away 2 to 15 minutes. And I feel like anytime there's 2 to 15 minutes, you're like, ooh, goody, I get to go cast off the dock, but it's doing dishes or doing like something like that. But you look at it as like a 15-minute break to cast off the dock and going to do that, versus I use it to dick around for 15 minutes. And I guess
Hey guys, wanted to share with you a sneaky little trick I found when I was at Thorne Brothers the other day. This is a new Japanese bait that came out, and this falls into the gravity trend category. You guys have maybe heard of a depths cover scat or a Yamamoto Yamatanuki. These are weighted soft plastics that have proven to be very effective at catching bass, not only just in general, but especially pressured fish. Well, this new deal that just came over from Japan, Thorne Brothers got these in. It's called the AK Punch. It's made by Issei, and you'll kind of notice it looks a little funny. Looks like a scrotum, if you will, or some private parts. And they make two sizes here. I've got a 2.4 and a 2.8. Thorne Brothers has both of these on the shelves, and that's what I picked up. And rumors of a 3.3 inch coming out. But the big thing with this bait is it's completely different than the cover scat and Yamatanuki in terms of its action. So looking at a close-up, this is the 2.8 here. What you're going to see is it's got this voluptuous tail there that looks like a ball sack. And what that tail does is it actually vibrates when you pull it. So think of that weighted soft plastic having a nice erratic fall, and then when you pull it, it's going to vibrate your rod like a chatterbait. So you're putting a Ned rig size plastic in the cover and generating reaction strikes from it. But looking at the Japanese and how they're rigging it over in Japan, something I wanted to share is they're adding a nail weight into the sack, and they're putting it right there just like that. So that's a 1/16 ounce nail weight. You're going to put, perpendicular in the scrotum there. And what that does is it's going to cause this bait to backslide, okay? And it's also going to increase that vibration when you pull it away from that fish. So if you think about it, you're able to skip that up under a dock. It's going to backslide pretty erratic. It's going to fish heavier than a cover scat. And then when you pull that, there's a fish behind it, you pull it away, and then it's going to fall right back into that fish. So if you're looking to pick up probably one of the sneakiest bite-gettingest lures out there, Thorne Brothers just got these in. It's the AK Punch from Issei. Pick you up a 2.4 or a 2.8. Remember that nail weight trick, and then there's various hooks you can use. So right here we've got a screw lock hook, so that's actually going to tear up less plastic. So if you don't want that nose to tear on the bait as much, definitely recommend that Masayuki hook from Decoy. It'd be a 1/0 for the 2.4 and a 2/0 for the 2.8. Or else the KG worm from Decoy, you're going to go down in a size, so number 1 and then a 1/0. So the 2.4 versus the 2.8. So the 2.4, the baby size one, is designed to fish on spinning gear. So get you a Vocelka Fishing Custom, medium or medium light action, up to 12-pound test fluorocarbon on this one. And the 2.8, you can fish on a lighter bait caster up to 16-pound fluorocarbon. So consider, this your spinning rod version, this your bait casting rod version. And that rod I like for this bait casting version is going to be Vocelka Fishing Customs MB736. So that's a lighter, medium, heavy 7-foot rod. So get you some of that, some 15-pound fluorocarbon, teabag you some bass this year. Pick you up the AK Punch from Thorne Brothers today, and don't tell nobody.
Task list of things that I want to accomplish are typically things, especially in the studio here, they're things that the average person wouldn't do from a business perspective. Example, I want to try and call every tournament angler. And so I go down the list and I call everyone when I have a free minute. And I try and call everyone that I possibly can when I have a minute. Right? And if there's a minute that's going by when I'm driving and I'm not doing anything but listening to music, I pull over and pull out the sheet of anglers and I call the next guy, as an example, right? It's something that goes above and beyond. Or with the rod business, it's sitting down and looking at my most recent order and looking at the orders that have shipped, and it's texting those 5 people that their rod has either been built and is in curing process, or the handle has been put on and it's going into process. And I have my chronological list of those that are waiting, and that impression is more impressionable than a Facebook video that had a view that is considered an impression, where this is like a real direct impression.
Wait, like an actual impression?
Yeah.
Like a real impression?
Yeah.
What is that? But I can't calculate that, Dane, in a spreadsheet, and I can't make a graph out of that, so it's not a real impression. But yet it's the most real impression.
Well, yeah, because if you look at the data for the year.
That's a sneaky good advice, because you've got all these internet warriors looking at how many likes they're getting and measuring everything based on that. But at the end of the day, how many people are you truly touching? And I think that's cool, man.
It's huge for all the businesses.
Do you know how hard that is for people to do?
Well, it's not easy.
No. What's something you feel like you were bad at, like before, like that you, because if I feel like the perception of you is a fairly flawless human, but like what's a flaw you had or something that you feel like you're not as good at or was maybe holding you back that you had a tougher time overcoming, that you feel like you've maybe, crossed the plane on?
Originality.
Sure.
Because it's so easy to look at the way someone does something and do it that way because it works.
Sure.
And it takes more time to develop an original skill or identity.
Yeah.
So it was really, really hard for me to say, hey, I learned how to fish from Aaron Teal, and I learned how to do this from this guy and this from this guy, and watch PJ do this with walleyes and watch this, but I can't do it as good as he can. And I'm more comfortable doing it this way, but how am I going to figure out what's the best way for me? And with tattooing and with rod building, with being a parent, it's super hard because there is no right way. It's just the way that you're most comfortable doing it. And looking back, what makes you the most proud and what will you never regret? And just do it that way. And then you can't figure that out in one day. And I struggle with that because I want the result now because I'm punctual.
Dude, that makes me think
tough.
of so many things. Like nobody can do you better than you, right? Mm-hmm. And nobody can do them better than them.
Correct.
And it makes me think of that book this guy gave me, Mark Lasik. It's called Steal Like an Artist.
Yeah.
And
we've talked about this on the podcast.
Right. And it's, to me though, it's just a matter of like, it's a very out in the air philosophical thought, but nothing comes from nothing.
Correct. Like
we're all influenced, right? Mm-hmm. I'm influenced by you when we fish together.
Yep.
You're influenced by me when we fish together.
Yep. You're
influenced by PJ. We're influenced by other anglers, and building that into your style or something that's beautiful or unique, or as Father Gill would put it, your identity is something I think a lot of people struggle with. But when you think about it like that, steal like an artist, like all the best things, like you couldn't have the Beatles without Beethoven.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's a progression of music that's come out. And you wouldn't have Kirill Kaprizov without Wayne Gretzky. You wouldn't have, LeBron James without Michael Jordan, or Will Chamberlain, or whatever names you want to mention. Everything is influenced or comes from something. Maybe not the whole thing, but parts of this, parts of that, parts of this, parts of that. And what's cool about fishing is innovation and products and techniques and approaches and ways to look at the game and do the game is an art form, and you've seen things blossom, whether it's a product, whether it's a fishing rod, whether it's an angler, whatever it might be. You've seen things blossom from that, and it all stems from something. And with rods, there's probably a lot of fun to be had with just that.
Oh my gosh, that is so endless, man. The world of building rods is just ever going, ever expanding.
Dude, I feel like there's just a whirlwind going on. Like, just putting myself in your shoes and then not living it, I already feel a whirlwind of stuff that's probably a large load to bear.
Yep.
Heavy.
Sure.
Heavy. You're a strong man, though.
Yeah. Well, I think time will tell you what works and doesn't work, and sometimes you have a little extra load just to see, what direction you want to go. If something is working again, if tattoo industry is working really good and continue to feel that fire, it's great. If the rod sales are going great and people are receiving them well and I'm getting good feedback, I continue to put more eggs in that basket. Right now it seems like everything's working, so I just put the eggs in all the baskets and see which basket's the heaviest, and I try to split my time up, and I haven't really had any like big outlier or something that tells me, woo, like step back and don't do that anymore because it's not beneficial to your life or your family or your history or your footprint. If I can do something that influences you or benefits you in this podcast and my group of friends and anglers, and I'll keep doing it.
Yeah, and I guess outside looking in as your friend, I have seen you buckle down in a way I really hadn't seen before, and I guess no negativity towards that whatsoever. And I think what I'm getting out of it is like the choices you've made involve sacrifices, and if you're going to make the choices you've made, you have to be willing to make some of the sacrifices that I've seen you make. That, my question is I struggle with burnout. Like, my problem is when I get obsessed with something and into something, I can't stop until I'm fucking dead and burnt out. Yeah. And that's part of the magic of looking at myself. That's part of my magic, but that's also 100% my curse. Is I will do miracles and then burn out, and then it's like I struggle with that. How do you manage burnout, dude? Because
I diversify.
You keep things new and fresh and interesting.
I have to.
I know that about you.
That's the only way I can make it, because if I just did one thing, it's so repetitive and it becomes too complacent.
Yeah.
My day has to have a level of unknown.
I'm the same way.
Yeah. It has to be
more floaty way, but I'm the same way.
Well, it's structured. There's blocks. I go to work. I have a block from this time to this time. I don't know what's happening, but I know where I'm at.
Dude, that's why you're a superhuman. That's why you're fucking superhuman, is because you have the creative, floaty Aaron Teal, but you also are so
type A.
Yeah, I'm just B, man. And then there's people that are like, I'm A, man. And Dane's like, I'm BA, man.
I'm AB positive.
Stands for badass, motherfucker. That's right.
I appreciate the compliment. It's too much flattery.
Think, dream, and calculate.
Oh, yeah.
No, dude, it's just, it's cool to watch you work. And I think, the tournament fishing world should be excited, because I think it's in really good hands. And I think
Thank you.
Everybody wants to probably jump to changes. And who doesn't? Everybody wants to, fantasy league. Let's design our trail. No, this is no fantasy fishing trails yet. But I bet you are feeling that. Mm-hmm.
All the ideas come in from every angler, and I think that's great. They need to be heard.
Are they the same 30 ideas, or are you hearing
No, every idea is different.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Which makes me think, yep, I'm doing it right.
Oh no.
I just need to do it my way.
Yeah.
Right out the gate, and just keep it as similar as it has been, and then sprinkle in little nuances, and don't make any drastic changes.
Without any names, what's the wildest idea that's been thrown at you where you're like, dude, what the fuck? No, just out there to the point where it's like, I feel like fishermen, and I feel like I could be one of the guys to throw out something like that. I'm like, I think we should fish off inner tubes. Or, you know, you've had to have heard some like, you probably can't say, or maybe you can, and I'll cut it out later. Fuck it. It's just you and me talking.
I mean, every idea has been pretty unique in its own right, so I don't think anyone is off the map crazy.
No one's mentioned rock bass yet?
No.
That's good.
No, man. There hasn't been anything out of the ordinary.
What about live scope? How many people said there shouldn't be scope?
0.
Hell yeah. Seriously?
0.
Take that, bucket.
Not one person has said, you need to eradicate this.
Well, I'll be the first. I really think that my finishes were a lot better before scope.
I think you used it too much.
I'm already signed up.
I know you are.
And I'm sorry for being so hard on you about the lake split, okay?
There will be a lake split.
Dude, and I just wanted you to know and the world to know that I'm done fighting it. And I'm sorry.
Here's a little nugget for you, though.
What?
You do not have to choose a side. It is guaranteed that everyone will fish the same side.
Ooh, I hope we're picking big enough lakes.
This year, they're big enough. Next year, we're going to be smaller field, so it won't matter.
Okay, now you've opened a box you have to elaborate on. Smaller field next year.
Yeah. Smaller field the following year.
This coming year, not 2025, 2026 smaller field. Elaborate on that.
We're cutting 22 anglers.
After this year.
Yep.
And
from 67 to 45.
Is and that allowing an email or is this news right
and
now?
Allowing you to fish a qualifying event to fill the last remaining 5 spots. If you get cut, you get to fish back in.
Oh, so there's a back end qualifier, or are you fishing against other people?
You will be fishing against other people.
New qualifiers
on the waiting list that didn't get in this year,
and that's going to be at the end of the season, after the beginning.
Correct.
Oh, so there'll be a championship and a qualifier at the end of the year.
Qualifier is the last event.
Interesting.
To get back in, if you want to.
I think that is a great format to keep people wanting to stay and fish, and
there will be more
points to stay.
There will be more qualifying events in following years.
Okay.
So the following year should have 3 events to qualify.
Is this set in stone? Because I don't want to set you up for failure here.
You can't set me up for failure here. This is what we intend.
Okay, so not guaranteed. 50-50.
Well,
who the fuck knows?
It's pretty well decided, but here's the dream, right? You get through a regular season, you fish 1 event in the fall, 2 in the spring. That dictates the following summer's top 50. There's 3 qualifying events every following year, but they're always in the off season in the weekends, like during the weekends. So you have one, let's say in September or October or both, and then you have one in May. Or you have 2 in May and 1 in the previous fall. Of those 3 events, you take the top 10 anglers and they fill in the 10 that were cut from the previous year. Now this is 2 years down the road because you have to get through 1 full season of 67 anglers, cut 22 down to 45. You fish a qualifier, you take the top 5. They are the 50 for the following year. Then you get to cut X amount of anglers that season and you fish 2 or 3 events after that season. So 2 in the fall, 1 in the spring, or 1 in the fall, 2 in the spring for 2026. Top 10 anglers from those 3 events, of those qualifiers, fish and qualify for the bottom. You eliminate the waiting list game, and then you take those 3 additional events that you're fishing every season. They're a little less of a pay or buy-in, but you take a little bit from the payout and you feed the trail. So as that feeder system grows, the trail grows with it. So you're providing more opportunities to fish the Champions Tour format, utilizing the app, building the following, and allowing people to buy into those events. And those who fish all 3 top 10 get in.
I like it.
And it's weekends. So you provide your own marshal. The marshals are all piled together. It's a random draw amongst the pot of anglers. We cap it at 50. So if there's 40 contestants, each one brings it's on a weekend, so you can bring a high school angler, you can bring a friend, whomever, There's no live coverage. It's not as big as production. Buy-ins anywhere from $500 to $750. Payout's still really good. Could be as good as $8,500, $10,000 for first place. Pays out, let's say, 10 people.
For what is this? The qualifiers?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
And payouts this year are going to be better than last year already.
Really?
Calculated. Yeah.
That's exciting.
It is exciting because even the bottom payouts are going to be twice your entry fee. So like 17th place, $2,000.
Love that.
Yeah, dude.
I'm so good at like 10th to 17th in those. That sounds great.
It won't be $1,200. It'll be
cool,
$2,000.
Man.
So it'll be better payouts. Slightly not as deep, but the deeper payouts like 17th or 18th on or 16th on, whatever it breaks down to. I believe it's 17th is our last payout, or 16th, 17th, I believe it is. The other ones, there's like prizes that will get padded down to those last payouts, which in years past was just your entry fee.
Dude, do you realize how huge that is? For for fishing in our region, that we haven't seen things like that. Mm-hmm. And I guess like, the big thing is we're not able to do that without sponsor and business support. And I guess, what does that take, and how is that all able to work? And I guess all I'm hearing about in the industry right now is companies reeling back. This company bought this company, blah, blah, blah. Anglers are talking about less money, less opportunities in the fishing industry. So when you make statements like that, I guess I'm curious, because it's really awesome, dude.
I'm not taking money from the pot.
Got it.
That's why. I'm not taking anything. So
this mic drop moment is brought to you by Vocelka Fishing Customs. Not taking any from the pot.
No. You're taking all of what is being paid in, and you're trimming.
I'm talking to Donald J. Trump now.
You're trying
I'm not going to take a salary. I might live in that White House, but no salary from me. I'm going to make my money off speeches after I'm done being elected.
That's right.
Just like Billy Clinton. Like, what? How? Mm-hmm. But, like, how does the organization thrive then if you're not...
Run it like a business, buddy.
Put it back in, baby.
Run it like a lean, smooth running business that only provides for the anglers and for those that contribute, and make sure that you give back selflessly as much as you can up front. And it's still in its infancy, so you need to continue doing that until it proves itself otherwise. So
what Dane Vocelka is trying to say is this Champions Tour is not for his monthly food stamp account, but more of a 401k situation.
Yeah, I tattooed a paper.
Long-term investment, and in order to make sure he makes good on his long-term investment, that means taking care of us, the anglers, the sponsors, and you, the consumer.
Well, we need to be a little more clear, because the tour itself is not a retirement plan.
I'm sorry.
The rod business
more of a this is more of a Roth IRA. No,
the rod business growing with its exposure is more of the investment reasoning. Like, the reason why we're part of it is because we're able to target the audience with a stronger presence, if you will.
Yeah, it's a platform for you to get your word out about your rods.
Well,
because you don't top 3 every event. No. And you can't talk, and Bart's not going to let you talk about Vocelka fishing for 30 minutes. So there's another way.
Yeah.
I love that. And
dude, it'll be so good. No, and Tim Price and I over in Minn Kota the other day sat down and we talked about that quite a bit, because there's intent and companies that are growing and things that are changing, and why do some businesses work and some don't, and how do you market sponsors versus the anglers, and how do you create stories? And there's such a unique point in time right now where we have the ability to set a standard or pave the way and be original, which is what we mentioned earlier. It's so much more about originality because that attracts so much viewership, and the content creation around originality, it thrives right now. Having fun and entertaining and hitting all those principles, whether it's the education, the providing a service, the
being you.
Exactly. That's what it is.
And I hate fake Dane. I don't know about you guys, but I hate fake Dane. Fuck that guy. I want the real Dane.
Yeah.
And people like to see that. And I think if I think people have a hard time with that. Like, it's hard to be yourself when someone sticks a camera in front of you.
Yep.
Okay? It's hard.
It is. Your tone changes immediately.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like it feels like 100%, like I've noticed, like in an interview, right? Like it's like it's you doing your best to be real, but it's like, why do you have to do your best to be real?
Yeah.
And
it doesn't have to be perfect.
I think that's what I love about what we're doing, and I think it's because, like, if you do it long, like after 15 minutes, I don't know that I'm being recorded anymore. I'm too stupid.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah, exactly. Till you're yourself after playing 15 minutes of Pong.
I love Pong.
And all the walls are broken down.
Did you know that myself, Mr. Pinkerton, and Austin Brinkman have been carrying on a weekly streak of Pong night? Where we go full-on hardcore Pong for like a couple hours.
Really?
Once a week. We've been keeping the tradition every Tuesday night until the night.
Wow. Why would you do that?
Because I love you. I love you more than ping pong, brother.
That's ridiculous.
Just being honest. You're my brother, dude.
I never got no invite to Pong night.
You wouldn't come because you got rods to build and you got tram stamps to make, okay?
Yes.
That's how that...
Yes, Mr. Teal.
And you have diapers to change. Oh, is she in pull-ups now? What? Where? Like,
she's in the training of potty training, like all the things.
Interesting.
I don't even know how to explain it.
I remember when I was
I don't know how it happened so quick. Potty training was just all of a sudden. Now she's like riding.
Do you remember you getting potty trained?
I was potty trained when I was like 16 months old, which is kind of bizarre. Too early.
I don't remember getting potty trained. I remember getting potty trained to stand and pee. My mom would put Cheerios in the toilet, like throw like 5, 6 of them in
like
there.
bobbing for apples.
Like, yeah, and it'd be like Galaga, like an aiming game, you know. And I'd, shoot them Cheerios down with my little wiener at the time.
There you go.
Yeah. And that's how I was like potty trained to stand. And I just don't think like girls can aim at anything. So I don't have any advice to offer you for potty training besides good luck, Gipper.
She'll be just fine. She's super smart. She's like, Daddy, poop.
Really? She'll tell you?
That's how you know it's time to learn. Like, Daddy, I pooped.
Oh.
And you're like, it's time for you to learn how to take care of that yourself, little girl.
Yeah, now that you're telling me you did it, like you can tell me that you're about to do it.
But she's 20 months old.
Damn.
21 months old. It's not that old.
Force is strong with this one. Smart like her father.
She's stubborn.
Stubborn Pollock.
You should have seen her last night. She had this sweatshirt on, this America Outdoors. Ron America.
Outdoors America. Shout out Ronnie Mayer.
I opened up this box.
YouTube. You can find him on YouTube.
Oh, he has some pretty cool
Outdoors
spearing
America.
Videos.
If you like hunting, you like
spear
stabbing
fishing.
pike with a spear.
Dope.
And killing big bucks. Ron Mayer is your guy. Outdoors America. Carry on.
Lainey was rocking the Outdoors America shirt.
Was she?
Hands completely out, hood up, walking around with the shirt down to her ankles, just like crawling up on chairs, jumping off the ottoman, all the things. Loving life. I should have taken a video. I did not. But it's so easy. I could just take my shirt off and say, shirt? And she'll look at me and go, yeah. shirt, Daddy.
I feel like such a boomer saying this, but like I'm so bad at pulling my phone out to take a video when I should pull my phone out to take a video. But at the same time, can't you just enjoy the moment for how it is? Do you have to fucking record everything? You know what I mean?
Yep.
But yet, don't you wish you would have pulled your phone out and videotaped that? Because now you can't re-see it.
Ron can imagine. Ron's seen Lainey enough. He knows how cute that little girl is.
I don't know if he'll take your word for it. I wish you would have videotaped
so
it. I think he probably thinks you're scamming him. But, dude.
Introducing the chicken rod from Vocelka Fishing Customs. This is the perfect rod for swim baits, chatterbaits, and big hair jigs like the chicken that's become so popular in Minnesota. This is a 7'6" heavy action rod with a moderate fast taper. The perfect action for landing those fish on a long cast, cover in water. Introducing the chicken rod. Visit vocelkafishing.com.
Dude,
it was awesome.
That's like my thing with the video stuff. It's like, man, I want to videotape myself fishing more, but it's like,
I just want to enjoy fishing and not dig with the camera.
I want to enjoy that moment, dude. And there's something to... I feel like what's lost in this fucking world is just that. Is like, if you want to make money, you have to stop enjoying the moment. Why is that? Why, if you want to make money, you have to stop enjoying the moment?
I think you're thinking about it wrong.
I'm thinking about it in terms of building a social media presence.
You could learn more and enjoy it potentially more if you captured it.
Like recording a conversation?
If you just raw live captured it and didn't mess with it, dude. Like I've been trying to do. Like if you could just set up a camera, mic up 2 people, and that camera followed you or turned or was in the back of the boat and it captured your decisions and what you did for 8 hours. And then you like just stopped the camera and started it and gave it little like footnotes or gave it little marks. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, dude.
You bookmarked it.
Like by the time we have it figured out, there's going to be a robot AI camera that comes out that's going to be exactly what we've always asked for. And we'll do it.
I am getting better at trying to capture these moments.
I'm proud of you.
And I want to force myself to do it.
I want to do it too, but it's like I can't. The fact that I can't, it seems like every time I say I'm going to do that, the fishing experience is the worst day ever. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
but
it's like
that
when
is
I plan
valuable.
for
That is valuable.
Yeah, you're right. It is, but not 2 hours of watching it.
I mean, raw footage is raw footage. If you want to do a little voiceover or something at the end of the day, or you want to talk about how you suck as a fisherman today and tomorrow you're a hero and you can prove that yesterday you sucked, that's real. I'm telling you, man, live footage and live capturing of your fishing day on the water, fun fishing and tournament fishing combined, like that is the next thing.
I agree, and I'd be curious if there's a way, like let's say it was voluntary, right? As an angler, I could record each Champions Tour event each season live. Right? Like I have 3 days. You can do it from
your phone.
3 days. I would love to record 3 days next year. You know what I mean? Live. Never done it before. But I don't know why I couldn't do that. And I don't know why people couldn't do that. And while spectators are tuning into a score tracker, they couldn't watch you catch it too.
Trying to figure that out. It's so expensive to have.
I don't know if it needs to be you right away. I think it's a matter of, as an organization, just providing a simple training manual, 6-step process on how the anglers could do it themselves if they wanted to. Now, the disadvantage for you with that as an owner is you don't have control of that stream per se, so you don't have the ability to monetize that. However, what it could create for you as an owner is even more people tuning into that score tracker due to anglers' live footage popping up on Facebook like it does when you post live footage.
Yep.
So to me, where you're at, there's a good advantage to do like
help source,
like not necessarily doing it for the anglers. I think that's not your job necessarily yet, and I think, you know, that's quite an investment that I think you should be very calculated on when you go there, right? But like until then, why wouldn't you just create more buzz around the trail and provide an easier avenue, or how can you provide an easier way for the anglers to do that themselves, you know? Because Noah's got some sponsors to promote. You know, you've got certain anglers out there who are interested in doing that. Maybe certain anglers aren't. Maybe it's voluntary, but it allows an angler to capitalize on their following.
Yeah.
And what you're doing is providing a platform for the anglers. And by posting that score tracker for the angler, it allows them to maximize their live feed. If I'm catching them, I'd love to be live. That's good. Right?
Yeah.
If you're not catching them and people don't tune in, whatever. But if you're fucking in the top 5 and you're live covering that yourself as an angler, what that does for you as an angler is really good. And what that does for the tour and people tuning into the score tracker is good, and everybody wins. And to me, maybe there's a way to do that, and I don't know how to do that, but I feel like that's more cost effective than you trying to take on all that coverage and all of that expense of media, you know, on a hope and a prayer.
We'll get there. I think even having like a sample set of X amount of live coverage bags and then setting them up per half and putting them in random boats and then just covering that angler live for that half, whether they're doing well or not, and just leaving it go is a great start.
Absolutely.
And then documenting how you did it, how well it performed, how the hotspot puck and pod and all the things and mics and all the things went up. And yeah.
I've got a question.
Sure.
Pro-Am.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not going to fish the Pro-Am this year.
Okay.
I want to help with media for this event.
Okay.
That day. We'll talk about that a different time, but
okay.
I guess, is there any plans with the Pro-Am and expanding that into a series on its own? Because I think of the chatter I've heard from the general population and anglers, there's demand there. Yep. And I think, you know, I personally, there's demand there. I think not just myself, others, and I think there's opportunity there for you.
Yep.
I guess without getting into too much, to me, that's more of a wild card in terms of like, there's so much you could do with that. You could merge it. You could make it its own trail. You could make it a super series. You could make it its own, you know.
That is
anything we can talk about there?
Yes. That comes with a substantial cost.
Okay.
For example, adding another regular season event, does it cost something? Yes. Adding a Pro-Am event, does it cost something? It costs more than a regular season event to run and operate. Running an additional qualifying event doesn't cost us nearly anything in comparison to a regular season event, in comparison to a Pro-Am event. Well, you have excess media coverage that needs to be had during a Pro-Am event. There's a lot more with in-boat interview, and you can't call it quite live coverage, but videography.
Why couldn't you just make it the same as a regular season event in terms of media coverage?
The demand from sponsors is higher
for that Pro-Am,
especially with a presenting or with a sponsor that wants to put the money in to have the event happen. Like, those funds are added in to help pay for all that to exist, right?
So it sounds like sponsor demand is there for Pro-Am. So why wouldn't you do 3 Pro-Ams and 1 Every Fish Counts event then?
You would have to have more sponsors.
In general.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Sure. Yeah.
The best fishermen have emptied the sea monster.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, with your regular
scheduled
podcast.
Can I show you something?
Only if it's appropriate.
I think you'll think is cool.
All right.
So a spinning rod you make comes to mind that you really like. Look at that. That's a new hook that just came out from Japan for the old Nico rig. Think about a weedless Nico hook that you could Nico rig virtually anything weedless and throw into cover. Was a German accent or not, it does not matter.
This is a coil lock?
Coil lock from Jackal. It's a new weedless Nico. Now, there's been a couple weedless Nicos that came out that nobody in America knows about. But the key with that one is that little coil, that screw on it.
I see the screw
so it doesn't tear your plastic or your Nico up versus a barb or versus a whatever. We're going to have to get that so close.
That's pretty dirty. Well, I'll tell you what. That Spin Boss
Is this Spin Boss Signature Series?
would do a number with this thing, buddy. Holy smokers.
That's, I think, been the interesting thing talking to like Easton, at like who is Easton Fothergill, probably the best A scope and minnow guy I know, but
Yep.
B the best Nico rig fisherman probably on the planet besides maybe Drew Gill right now. And what's interesting talking to Easton, it's like you and I have figured this out in a few cases with stuff we throw, right? Adjusting your weight.
Yes.
Yeah, and then adjusting your profile and how that affects the fall and
Yep.
the action and all of that.
Certainly.
And the spectrum of that, I feel like for most people with a Nico rig, is a very small spectrum. 3/64th, 1/16th, 3/32nd. I got one worm I like, right?
And it's pink.
And I think what's starting to take hold, that's going to continue, and there's going to be people pissed at me about this, is that like expanding on that, right?
Yep.
And we've seen it firsthand with certain techniques where, listen up, some days they want that 3/4 ounce jig pegging them in the skull. Some days they want that 3/32 ounce jig worm just
Plain call on the way down.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's a matter of now we have this forward-facing sonar that gives us this
Instant gratification.
instant feedback. Yeah. So now it's like, man, think about if you could just Nico rig something like a Texas rig anytime you want and just pop a nail weight in that thing and make it go. This coil lock, dude, I mean, think about fishing docks, fishing shallow,
Yep.
the amount of, every place you couldn't throw a Nico rig before. Brush piles down south, laydowns, docks, beavers, worms, gill baits.
Where the heck did you find that thing?
Tokyo. It was the heart of Tokyo.
Yeah, I believe it.
Honestly, these ain't on the market yet here. They're coming though. Like, I'm just talking like this is the Bass Galaxy, so I guess like when we can time travel, I like to. And I brought a few time traveling devices with me today, and I guess one of my favorite things about fishing is there's always a way to skin the cat. And the way these guys think about mouse traps, I mean, you're an efficiency guy, so anytime I can see something that like, and I'm not an efficient guy, so I need to use all the tools in my toolbox to increase my efficiency because my natural organic efficiency level is that of a turtle.
It's not that bad, Teal.
How's your organic efficiency level, Dane?
Yeah.
I'm a hare. You're a rabbit.
No.
You're a long-legged jackrabbit.
I think that's a freaking awesome little terminal tackle secret. Thing is juicy. Looks super cool. You might just walk out with a couple less coil locks in your pocket tonight.
I just thought it was cool, and I thought you would appreciate it. And
They're dope.
Just think of
They're
like,
super cool.
I can think of so many reasons everybody needs one. But spinning rods, I'd wanted to kind of kind of just delve into your spinning rod catalog.
A little bit.
You've got some, you mentioned the Spin Boss, which to me is a really unique rod everybody needs in their arsenal for anything from an 1/8 to 3/8 ounce on a spinning pole.
Yes. I'd even say 16th to an 1/8.
Really?
Or 16th to 3/8.
I would say 1/8 to 3/8. Dane would say 16th to 3/8. So the versatility of this rod is large.
Yep.
But you've got some other rods, right? So that Spin Boss, like your rods fit different categories. And the tequila shot, to me, is not only a drop shot rod, but a strolling rod, right? So some of your rods have multiple abilities.
Versatile.
But
versatility tools.
let's kind of walk through those, because I think like this coil lock, maybe the Spin Boss is right because of the weedless aspect of it needing a little more.
Yep.
Depends what weight I'm throwing on that Nico between you and me, because the spinning
rod.
The spinning rod.
Yep. The 7-foot medium light. That's super duper juicy for jig worm, Nico,
Drop shot.
heavier drop shot.
It's kind of like your best all-purpose rod is the spinning rod, right?
100%.
Yeah.
It's the most sold spinning rod aside from the hair rod. Is the spinning rod.
And what's been some feedback on like what guys like about it, or what you're hearing, and then your opinion and some different reviews you're getting? I mean,
the versatility is probably the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Because guys will buy 3 to 6 of them, 2 of them with 10-pound braid, 15-pound braid, drop shotting in a little bit heavier grass. Some will be 8-pound braid, 6-pound, 8-pound fluorocarbon leader, open water drop shotting with them. Some will Nico with a little heavier Nico. Some will even throw a light tube on it. It's just kind of that versatile player.
Yep.
Your line comes into play with what technique you want to, approach it with.
But between a Ned rig, a Nico, and a
I
drop
forgot
shot,
the Ned, that
does all of it.
It can, yeah.
The
It's a
Spin
soft
Boss-
enough tip.
Spin Boss would be a step up from that, would you say?
Higher quality guides, just lighter weight, extra 2 inches, inch in length.
Similar action?
2 inches in length.
Similar power?
I can't remember if it's a 7.3 or 7.2. The Spin Boss.
I
Off the
can't
top of my
either.
head.
7.3, I feel like.
Yeah, so 2 inches longer.
And then just like action, is it more powerful, more fast?
It's faster. It's softer tip section with a quicker backbone. So you get like a better swim bait rod on it. Like throwing a ball headed swim bait is really, really good.
Okay.
Because you can get to back quick, right? Or like Nico, like
Baby tube.
Yeah. Yep. It just has more of a hockey stick taper than it does. Like the spinning rod is more of a rainbow, softer. It's more moderate. Even though it's still a medium light rod, it's still just a bit more moderate than the Spin Boss is.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's deeper bending.
Yep.
Even though the tip diameter is bigger.
That makes sense. And then you've got the tequila shot.
Yep.
Which to me is not only a good light, really finesse drop shot rod.
Yep.
It's also a very good strolling rod.
For sure. That thing is super
really good strolling rod.
Super, super fun.
If you're looking for a very bougie strolling rod, that's the one. But that strolling rod you made me, to me, seems like a really good price point.
Yeah.
At
Better
6'9"
than
or 6. Yeah,
better
6'9".
than the tequila shot. Yeah. Those tournament series blanks, we're working on trying to find a better price point for those applications, and I'm almost wanting to target multi-species so I can diversify.
Here's the deal, though.
A price point mixed with multiple technique-specific applications, so you can buy something that's crappie fishing, bluegill fishing before the season opens up, and it's a perfect strolling rod, drop shot rod mixed with, you know what I'm saying? Like if you can get into that $180, $200 price point with the perfect crankbait rods and perfect strolling rods that also play off season or multi-species, gosh, you can just target multiple markets. That's where I think I need to go.
What's the struggle like? Because what you're up against is big rod, big business. big dick.
I'm not worried about what everybody else is doing.
But my point is the consumer should understand what they're buying and why they're buying it. You know what I mean? And yes, you might struggle to make $109 rod, but that's maybe just not your wheelhouse, dude. $20 rod, $150 rod, $160 rod. It's maybe just not your wheelhouse, but the people who appreciate what you do, I think just understanding why it's the way it is all people need to know. At the end of the day, all you can do is what you can do, bro.
But yeah, and you're building them by hand in the States. Correct. In Minnesota, in Waverly.
In biodynamics. Building them in the heart of biodynamics.
Yeah, right. It's not easy. But we're finding better resolutions, more efficient ways of creating the product, better buying opportunities, better bulk buying opportunities, foreseeing growth trends, spending money appropriately, taking certain risks.
Your rods are built with love.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Have you ever had a homemade meal where love is added? Did it taste better? Did it feel better? I bet it did. That's what you get from Vocelka Fishing Customs, dude. I mean
a custom-made homemade meal.
Yeah, you want to save a few extra shekels? You can support slavery. That's fine. It's your conscience. It's your life. It's your sleep at night. You want to support slavery? Go ahead, man. It's
I
your
just
sleep
want to
at
know
night.
what
It's your
goes on
life.
in your head.
Enjoy hell
all the time.
We're all going there. I'll see you there. I just, my road to heaven is supporting Dane, supporting American built.
Speaking of American
crafted
built,
rod.
That tequila shot and this little sweeper.
Yeah. So, the hair rod is what I would call
Arrow.
the driver or the distance twig for a light lure. But what Dane's referring to right now is some close combat quarters.
Over
FFS.
the boulder. Over the boulder you can see.
Scope cheating ass bass fishing. And the tequila shot, you just don't miss. And, dude, I just recorded an episode with Bob Downey and Nipper yesterday.
Oh.
And I brought up doing the little minnow thing on the 16th ounce. And I could tell Bob was pissed. So I'm just saying, like, he did not want to keep going. I'm just saying, like, how about that?
It works.
If you don't have a Vocelka hair rod in your hands at this point in time, and you haven't stopped over to Waypoint's Angler Supply and picked you up some Raid 3-inch little sweepers and some decoy ball heads in the 16th ounce variety with the #1 hook and some 8-pound test to 10-pound test blade with some 6 to 8-pound test.
I'd even go one knot.
I do not know what the fuck you was doing with your life right now.
Yep.
I'm dead ass. Like, deadly.
Deadly, dude.
Yep.
But, dude.
The hair jig's not just a hair jig. It's a baby minnow. It's a baby bug. It's a baby.
Do you remember?
It's a baby something.
Do you remember how we had to finesse those smallmouth at the end of Mille Lacs?
Uh-huh.
Throwing that 16th ounce on that hair rod?
It was like hair jig fishing with a ball head and a minnow and a baby minnow. A minnow, you're like, is this even a minnow? This looks like a tadpole. This ain't even a minnow. That's what it was like, dude. But what's amazing is how
it.
So
at the end of the day, we were whacking them.
I just don't want to lose too many friends. And the big thing is like, I love my friends, and I really never want to trade my friends for listeners when I talk about some of this stuff, bro.
But I brought it up.
I know. And, me holding back like that probably didn't help any of our cause.
Probably not. Oops.
What do you do, man? Like, I put it in the box.
Well, whatever, man. You try and fish it.
I put it in the box.
You try and fish this with the 16th ounce and tell me how fun it is. You know how I figured it out? It was this last spring. I found this little lake up by me, and it had a creek pouring into it. And I'm like, you know what? There's got to be largemouth around here, but largemouth aren't in season. So I'm gonna fish for crappies today. And I blasted some big crappies, and then I hooked like 2 or 3 like 3.5 pound largies, and then kept catching crappies, and then a largemouth, and then crappie, and then a giant catfish, and then crappies, and then a largemouth. I'm like, wow.
You know what one of my favorite things in the world is?
This thing just catches everything.
You want to know what one of my favorite things in the world is? When I tell Dane to buy a fishing lure, and I get a phone call 3 weeks later of Dane just giggling. That's my favorite thing in the world. Is I tell Dane to buy a lure, and then I get a call, within a day to 3 weeks later, just giggly ass Dane. Like, yeah.
They're all biting the little sweeper.
That was Mille Lacs practice. He's like, it's like, you don't even smoke joints, Dane. What are you giggling about? Oh, that little sweeper I told you to buy.
Yep. That high.
That
catching them.
That Waypoint good.
Good. It's so good.
When I tank tested that lure, it looked so good on a drop shot that I'm like, I'm never going to drop shot anything else. And I ended up catching so many on a ball head with it.
That you didn't even have to drop shot it.
Cut.
I'll tell you what, I didn't get to throw that I really wanted to throw.
That one?
The Do Live Shad.
If it's made by Osprey Spiritual Performer, a.k.a. OSP, and it says Do Live on it, you should probably throw that and catch a bass. Because, fire. The Do Live, that Do Live beaver, the Do Live beaver is still the most fish catchingest creature bait I've ever thrown in my life. And that Do Live Shad, do you remember, we were talking about this the other day with Downey, but remember when the Kitech came out? And we're just starting to see the fish starting to not eat a Kitech every time. They still eat the fuck out of it, don't get me wrong. But it's you're starting to see companies put steroids on the Kitech and then take the steroids off the Kitech. That's the new things with swimming, right? Is a more steroided Kitech and a less steroided Kitech. Mm-hmm. And it's weird how much we condition bass, dude. And I don't notice it on lakes unless it's a lake like Okoboji or a lake like Minnetonka, mm-hmm. or a lake like it's if it's a major tournament body of water. We fuck with those things, dude. Our lures fuck with them. Our boats fuck with them. Yep. Everything fucks with them. So that shit, in those situations, I think that shit matters. And I don't think gull counts. I think there's so many fucking bass in that lake. And enough of them are still dumb that I don't think gull necessarily is an example of a pressured fishery yet. It's getting closer, but it's still not there.
Why is it so good?
The amount of grass, dude. The amount of grass and flats, and it's not as palatable as Tonka. I don't understand why they're so much dumber than Tonka, though. Tonka's not, it's pressured, but it's not like everybody wants to go there pressured. No. You know what I mean? How is a lake so pressured that nobody wants to go to? Think about that. Is it because people have to go there for tournaments? Why does everybody go there if it's so bad? Well, you know what I mean? Boji, I understand. There's nowhere else to fucking go.
Right. Right.
But Tonka, you're telling me that's the most... there shouldn't be any lake that's the most pressured fishery in the state, because as soon as it's the most pressured, somebody should be driving somewhere else. Because you want to catch them. Tournament scheduled there is the only reason I can think of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have clients every day that ask me, so do you actually fish Tonka?
Really?
Yeah, Jim Moyna actually even had Jim Moyna over Thanksgiving had a family, a relative, or a in-law. He told me this story the other day. He said, "Yeah, you know, Dane, you never would have believed it. I had this girl. She came to our Thanksgiving, and she said, 'Hey there, Jim. Do you fish Lake Minnetonka?'"
Somebody asked Jim Moyna that?
Yeah, well, she isn't familiar with the fishing world. Supposedly, she says, "Well, I know a tournament fisherman. He did my tattoo yesterday. He fishes Lake Minnetonka." He said it was good. I called Jim, and I was talking to him about the Champs Tour, and he told me the story, and we were laughing. I was picking up vinyl, and he said, "Who'd have thunk, man, that that someone would be talking about Lake Minnetonka and referring the tattoo artist?" I'm sorry. He didn't know I tattooed people.
How does it feel?
He didn't. He didn't.
How does it feel?
It was funny. We were laughing out loud, and it's irrelevant to an extent. But
somebody told Jim Moyna you're the guy on Tonka. How does that feel?
that she asked him if he even knew what Lake Minnetonka was and if it's any good, and if anybody should know, it's Moyna. From back in the day, for sure.
Moyna's had the best. Nobody's had a better fucking day on Tonka than that guy.
I don't think anybody has made as much money as they have, because the Denny's totals don't total up to his one win on Tonka.
That's crazy, dude.
When you think about it, he's got to be one of the winningest fishermen on Tonka with that tournament, with a couple of big wins.
Do you ever think about that with them old timers and like where bass fishing is and like wanting to try to leave it in a good place, like for those guys? You know what I mean? I've never felt like I wielded that kind of sword, but like now that you own the Champions Tour, as far as I'm concerned, I'm a pretty heavy lobbyist, and
that's probably
that's important to me.
That's one of the biggest reasons why I took it over.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's not every day that you're given an opportunity to leave a mark on something. And if you pass up on that opportunity, you're a dumbass.
I never totally thought of it that way.
Yeah.
But I've thought of it a little bit that way. But like I've never thought of like you regretting it passing up. I never thought about like if you passed it up, regretting it in that regard.
My wife is one of the biggest reasons why I made the decision. And she said I'd be an idiot if I didn't take the opportunity to do what you are capable of doing with it, because it would be done with the right intent. It's her perspective.
I'll be honest, man. I really can't think of anybody else. Well, you're my best friend, dude. So of course I couldn't think of anybody else better. But like, you're in the driver's seat now, Mr. Vocelka.
Yep.
You have the pen in your hand to write bass fishing history in the upper Midwest region.
Well, it's going to take quite a few years before that's even a topic, but yeah.
The reason why it's exciting is you won't fail.
Yep, correct.
That wouldn't be the case for everybody. We've seen too many tournament trails fold regionally for me to believe that is something that Scott Bonema could hand anybody and get the same result out of. I guess so. That's just props to you, bro. So, I mean, I guess to me the hard thing is to me the big thing you're swallowing is kind of taking a little step back from fishing, and I'll be honest, like I'm doing the same thing a little bit, taking a half step back, so to speak. But I mean, are you taking a full step back?
Well, how many days of practice did we allocate for each tour event? 4?
2 to 4. I don't know if I never got 4 full days on the water.
Friday,
once.
Saturday, Sunday,
3.5
would Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
I never practiced a full day Friday ever once.
traveling on Friday.
Yeah, I would get there. I would maybe get a half day Friday, but usually for me it'd be 3.
So if you take every tournament that I was fishing, let's say 12 events, and I had 4 days absent, I mean, that's almost 50 days away from family and work and stuff.
You and I only practice typically 2 days for each team trail event.
Friday, Saturday.
We travel 1 day.
Yeah. Thursday. Which was typically, it was open Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yes, so the most we would ever take is 3 days practice, but we would typically have 2.5 days of practice for team trail. And let's say we had 3 to 3.5 days for Champions Tour. I don't know what that equals. Not a math guy.
I will say that in the upcoming years, I'll be fishing with other anglers, gathering content and fishing for fun and with family and being on the water more.
That sounds so fun.
And setting the hook more.
That sounds so fun.
Than fishing practice for an event. I'll be probably learning more and working towards the business aspect of gathering content for the sponsors with the trail and building stories more. I have to make sure that I stay disciplined with that, because if I get off kilter and I don't fish as much, it'll be 10 times harder to come back and do it competitively. And I don't think ever be as competitive as I am now.
Really? I disagree. And I'm counting on it.
It'll take a moment.
I disagree, and I'm counting on it.
I definitely went out.
Why wouldn't you be better?
I'm at least leaving at my peak. In a peak, not my peak, maybe a peak.
The current peak that the world could see.
Sure. Yeah.
But I won't put a peak on. I think you're capable of more than what you've accomplished in tournament fishing, but what you gain from that, if you were to chase that, is really not what you gain from doing what you're doing.
Right.
You can always go back to that.
Yeah.
And dude, if there's one thing I'm excited about fishing half the amount of trails next year that I fished this year, is honing in fun fishing a bit more, gathering more, honing in there a little bit more.
Yep.
And getting excited for that is the only thing that is allowing me to stand not fishing that epic smallmouth team trail schedule next year.
Right. Because it looks like it could be a pretty fun time.
My God. For you folks fishing that team, that team trail schedule next year is... I don't know what makes a crackhead like me itchier. Do you know how hard that was?
Cab.
You have to choose the best financial decision, and at the end of the day, you got to keep fishing. Which one keeps you fishing? Champs Tour is the better financial decision for me.
Yep.
It's you have to do it. I almost didn't do nothing, but I ain't trying to requalify, fish 3 more fucking events. Fuck that.
That's the intent. Not concrete, but that's the intent. Yeah, man. You've done a lot of things with this podcast. You've interviewed a lot of people, and you've gathered a lot of information from a lot of people. You're doing something pretty big.
It just feels fun, but it doesn't feel big yet because it isn't. But I'd love for this to be something that, is financially worth doing as much as mentally, because it's been a blast doing it, and I'm going to keep doing it just because it's fun. But I guess I haven't paid too much attention to how big we are, and I don't think I've changed much with how we do the show, and I'm sure there's a lot of ways I can get better.
Don't be complacent. Do something different. Have some fun. You've been doing this, what? This is your second, third full year?
I don't know. What would I do different? I have ideas, but then it's like, I could narrate and direct a show. That's what I've been thinking about. Is I think I could do like a fucking full Colbert or full, planned out show. Yep. I think I could do that, and I think it'd be good. I think I have some ideas on how to make it good. It's just a matter of it. That almost needs to be a different deal.
Are you saying we should film a fishing show?
I don't know. I think they're like what I like is I like mixing everything involved with fishing, whether it's, us going fishing and catching them, figuring out how to catch them, the equipment we're using, the laughs we have along the way. I mean, I'm really into tackle and R&D and testing stuff. So, like, to me, I've got so many ideas. It's just a matter of, I've got some irons in the fire and trying to, put it all together, but understanding that Rome wasn't built in a day. And, yeah, I fucking want a golden pony and a lollipop, and I want to fucking ride the pony while I eat the lollipop. Of course. Fucking why not? Of course I do. Yeah.
You're wild.
I want a Rolls Royce and I want a trailer hitch on it. Yeah, why not? But I always have bigger dreams than I can palate. I always try to take on more than I can probably chew, and I guess for me it's I'm starting to enjoy the ride. Like, I've always enjoyed the podcast, but enjoying the ride around that podcast.
That's
and
good.
Enjoying
That's
like
good.
My life and things like that. And so
I think you ever going to sell boats again? And are you dating somebody new now?
The dating life is really not something I talk about on the podcast, and not
That's why
something
I'm here.
I'd like to talk about the podcast.
I'm here to...
mostly because breakups suck, and this is recorded forever, and these women ain't a part of this podcast. This is my podcast.
This is your podcast.
Okay. Fishing, I'm gonna go fishing. If you don't like that, beat it.
So you're gonna sell boats someday again?
So by the time this comes out, I might be selling back at Intune Marine full-time.
Holy smokes! That was I did not.
Not full-time, excuse me, part-time. But
are you sure you want to let that out?
so whether I let it out or not, you guys should call Intune Marine for your next boat and ask for Aaron Teal. And if he's not there, you should ask for Brian Bankston.
Banger.
If you do want to buy a boat, you should message me on Instagram. Intune Marine, they carry Vexus, Phoenix, Sylvan pontoons. Tell your wife you need a new pontoon. Talk to Aaron Teal. I don't know. I might be selling boats for him. I'm going to let him know this week.
Would you say that selling boats
I've been
got
promoting
you to
boats for
where
him
you
forever.
are now?
No, dude. I would say it's a part of me. And I would say it's a big part of where I'm at today. And I would say from a career standpoint, that's where,
Would you be as good of an angler without Intune Marine in your history?
It'd be hard to say I'd be as good of an angler, and it'd be hard for them to say they're as good a dealership. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to say that, oh yeah, I'd be just fine without them. No, you wouldn't. And vice versa. Everything happens because of something, right?
Yep.
The butterfly effect. It's so weird how me dropping a glass of whiskey or, something so small can change the course of your life and the whole universe, right? So to say that Intune didn't play a huge part in my fishing career would be absolutely ignorant of me to say. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But I also think that I'm passionate and that I've built a place in this industry no matter who else is there because I love it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then that started when I was like 5, 4, whatever age, So, you can't have Intune without 4 or 5 years old. You can't have X without X. You can't have X without X. You can't have X without X.
I was making sure that computer wasn't going to die on you. I thought it was about to die. in the middle of your speech. That was
Mr. Time Management, I plugged it in before we started.
Just making sure it had a little lightning bolt sign over the battery.
It's charging.
Okay.
So yeah,
it's a good perspective, Teal.
To say that
you interview so many people, but nobody really turns around and interviews all the things.
Yeah, and I've been waiting 3 seasons to interview Dane Vocelka, and now he's trying to interview me. No, dude, we're just talking. Like, I appreciate that, and I think, I wouldn't be where I'm at without Intune. I wouldn't be at where I'm at without Intune Marine. I wouldn't be where I'm at without George Little. I wouldn't be at where I'm at without Steve Menz. I wouldn't be where I'm at without Dane Vocelka. I wouldn't be where I'm at without Tony Hatton. I wouldn't be where I'm at without Nick Gross. I wouldn't be where I'm at without my father, Sean Teal. I wouldn't be where I'm at without my mother, Pam Teal. Dare I keep going? Like, that was the amount of people I have to thank is a podcast long, and I would not be where I'm at without any of those people. And nobody is anywhere where they're at. And to think that you're there all by yourself without the help of anybody is, I respect the existential viewpoint, but it is not true. Nobody makes it anywhere alone. Now, I'm not this socialist ass motherfucker that says you're white, so you're fucking where you're at because of people wanted to help you because you're white. And yeah, Ish Monroe, no, right? But like at the end of the day, we can't be 100%. No, I fucking built these rods with my bare hands, and I took them door to door, sold every one. No, man, like. There's a happy medium there.
For sure.
I over-answered that question. Did you notice that?
We're getting deep with the AT over here.
Hey, I just wasn't trying to skim over nothing today.
No, you didn't. You answered that one to its full completion.
Yeah, take notes on that, motherfucker.
Good job, Teal.
Yeah. That's how you answer
This is why you ask the question.
That's why you ask. Wait. That's why you host the podcast. It's got to be your bowl.
That's good. That's good, man. Yeah, there's so much to all of this with all the businesses and all the relationships and all the people.
I think by next season, I'll have all the world's problems solved. So I'm hoping, dude, I'm almost there of having everything figured out. So just guys, if you're tuning into this, we're really close to figuring out the whole universe. 3 seasons in.
It's incredible.
We have so much to learn. I'm retarded.
How many episodes is this now?
I don't know. Queers count beers, Dane.
Jeez, dude.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
You gotta be.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. I support you folks. More chicks for us.
Oh, dang. Teal Bird. When are you getting tattooed next? We're in the tattoo studio. We're not doing it tonight, by the way.
I'm not going to lie. I'm going to need a lot more listeners and a few more mortgage payments. Not looking good on the financials for the tattoo front at this time. But my retirement account's looking good. And if you haven't invested in XRP yet, it's a new cryptocurrency on its way to the moon. I've made about 150% on my $200 investment on that so far. So... it's my tattoo fund. That little Ripple, that little cryptocurrency, that XRP, baby. Get yourself a tattoo. Invest in XRP today. This is not financial advice. I do not want to go to prison. Thank you very much.
What about what you are doing in the tackle industry, selling certain things and how you're handling your business? There's a little bit of news. A little bit of rustling in the bushes, if you will. People don't really know what Aaron Teal is doing outside of slanging mixers and fiberglass.
I've been kind of operating in the shadows there. Have not made an announcement there yet.
Well, we are going to keep it a secret then, folks. We're going to move on from that topic, and we're going to talk a little bit about how Teal...
I drank 23 Dr. Peppers.
23 Dr. Peppers.
How does it feel to be an American? I have to pay. So... yeah, horses. Danny's got how many horses?
We own 9. Down from 12.
We haven't even
down from 12. Down from 12.
Load. The whole weight. Does your back hurt yet from carrying that big load? 9 horses. So what can kids do with these? You have a petting zoo now?
Just remember, we're here doing a podcast after hours. I'm not doing anything with the horses right now.
You're damn right.
Danielle is. And my oldest daughter, Kaylin, who is 16 almost, is out there doing all the chores. That's their job.
She's got you trained, or you have you.
The kids are very disciplined, and they do a great job.
I'm willing to bet that you think you have those kids trained, and I'm willing to bet that they think they have you trained.
100p. 100p.
I'll be honest.
Dad,
of all the
you
jobs,
said that you would take me shopping on a shopping spree because you wanted to spend more time with me, and I know where I want to go. I even made a presentation of it, a PowerPoint, if you will, of all the gifts and why I want them and how we can get them.
Kaylin did this?
That's what my daughter did. You
Listen
think
up,
she's
you little
learned?
spazoid.
You think she's
I know
learned?
where you live and I know where you sleep. And your mother
It's
will
terrible.
cry when you see the gifts Dane doesn't buy for you.
Yep. Oh, yeah. They're learning. It's good. Real world.
How do you relax? And like, I feel like the hardest thing for you is to sometimes take a step back from those things. And like, to me, like, this is how I operate. If I don't do that, I burn out.
Relax. What do you mean?
What is relaxing? I understand that you don't know what that concept
serious
is.
question. Like,
It's a
what do you
new
mean?
concept for you. Relaxation.
Okay.
So it's
Explain it though. What do you
it
mean
means
though? Like
Latin
sit down and
for
watch a movie?
lax. Like when you take a laxative, it relaxes your bowels. Relaxation, meditation, breathing exercises.
Mm-hmm.
Taking a break from work to do something that is
work.
not work. It's not work. It's not. No. Not take a break from work to do something that's work. Take a break, like a real break.
So when I get a break,
Relaxation.
when I get a break from work, tattooing, building rods, horses, family, kids, wife, I work out. I do, and then I cold plunge.
running.
And then and then I cold plunge.
You cold plunge?
Yeah.
Do you know how long we've known each other and I didn't know you cold plunge?
In a old claw foot, like claw tub, like an old school above ground tub.
I'm grabbing us a beer and you need to figure
There's
out.
only one left back there.
That's good because you're having a whiskey.
Okay. So let me give you a little background story on this. No, you can. Yeah.
I'm listening.
Oh, no, you're not. You're going to be in the back room grabbing a
Damn it.
beverage from the fridge. And there it goes.
And there goes the microphone.
Well, all right, Tealbird. This cold plunge idea that Teal and I talk about. It's something I've been wanting to do for a while, and I think it really helps. Now, if you haven't cold plunged, holy smokes. For those like Rick Clunn who dive into the lake, I can completely understand why they do it. Except for in Minnesota, the water is a hell of a lot colder. So after a morning workout, even a warm up and stretch, filling up the tub with ice cold bath water from the well out in the 1800s farmhouse is a bit colder than 50 degrees. It's freezing cold. It's as close to 40 as it gets. And man, the way your skin and the hair stands up on your arms and your legs, just you feel so electric. It almost feels like
Where'd the redemption go?
Oh, it's underneath. It's a left door. Open it up. It's in the middle shelf. It's probably one of the most revitalizing, refreshing, energized, packed ways to start a day. And then for me, it lasts 6-7 hours. So if I cold plunge like a Wednesday morning, 7 a.m., like 20 minutes before I hop in a car, or excuse me, it'd be like more like 6:20 until I'm done tattooing. Like I feel like I could run a marathon or take a car and just flip it over. I feel like supercharged, almost the way I imagine energy drinks should feel, this is like unbelievable energy for the entire day. Attentiveness, recovery. I see why people do it now. And for me, it helps big time. I'm a little bit more of a huskier feller too. Just a bit more cushioned around the waist, insulated, if you will. So it's not nearly as bad around my core or my groin. My shins and my toes feel it the worst. Like a lot of pressure or needles. But when I hop out of the bath, submerged up to my neck, wow.
So you use a bath?
Tub.
Like your tub?
Yeah.
And just turn it to cold?
Well, my well water at my house is...
Mine too.
Painful. So painful. It's so painful. And the pipes that come up in the extension in our house, the floorboard, like, it's not insulated. So when it blows from the north or even the east, the cold wind blows under the floor of the house. Them pipes are cold, dude. Like, they are borderline freezing.
So that's interesting because, like, so I've always wanted to fuck with the cold plunge, and
it is
something that helps me is so the last section of my shower routine is once I'm done, like, washing my hair, is I'll turn it as cold as it goes, and I'll just be like, don't be a bitch, Aaron. Don't be a bitch today. You ain't gonna be a bitch today. You're fucking lying. And I just start taking that cold shower. And what I like about it is the worst thing about getting out of the shower is the cold bathroom when you get out of the shower, right? So it's like this initial hurdle that you have in the morning, getting out of a hot, relaxing, soothing, nice shower. It's fucking cold. And you got the towel on, and you're like, oh, right? That's not the same as a cold plunge. You take a nice, hot, relaxing shower, and then you go, don't be a bitch, don't be a bitch, don't be a bitch for a minute or as long as I can stand, right? That's my process. But then, like, when I get out with a towel, I'll be like, it's pretty warm in here. You know what I mean?
So bad.
It's all relative. And I feel like it's hard for people to make that hard plunge, so to speak, understanding the benefits of that hard decision. And I struggle with making hard decisions that benefit me in the long run. And I think humans do. Human nature. Naturally.
Yeah.
We choose comfort. Yep. Naturally, we choose this every time.
Yep.
And like installing a software program in your brain that starts to reverse that and re-evolve, you know, what it means to be a human. I have so much respect for those people. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I feel like such a weak man most days. And yes, I have these small wins in life, like turning the shower to cold for the last section of my shower, right? Or I had a regimen where I did push-ups and sit-ups. Like, I would try to do 5 more than the day before every morning. And like, cold shower, get up, do 10 push-ups, then try to do 15 the next day, and then sit up, same thing, and try to increase. But my issue is consistency, dude. Every time. I can start something and I can feel good about it for like a week or two, but like to get longevity out of me, that is my number one issue is long-term buy-in. The only thing you will get long-term buy-in from me on is fucking bass fishing and beating off, bro. Like, I'm not like I will buy into things that I care about. Like, beating off is a joke, but you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I think that is the hardest thing about it. Mm-hmm. And how the fuck do you lie to yourself and tell yourself that's any different? Like, the consistency part is what I struggle with. And I struggle with starting. But once the things I have, like, beat that starting hurdle, I don't know if I've ever overcome a consistency hurdle when it comes to health, whether it's working out, whether it's, you know, cold showers, whether it's, drinking this in the morning because it's better for you, or, sticking to a diet, or, like, I have never been able to do any of that, and I'm still not fat. I could be a lot better, though. I could be a lot better. That's my biggest struggle. Like, I don't expect nobody to fix it for me. It's called I'm a bitch. I get it. Like, I know what the problem is. It's I don't value that benefit enough to understand the gauntlet, to want the gauntlet enough. I don't want the gauntlet enough a lot of times for long enough.
Yeah, you don't want it as bad.
Here's the deal. We all have a place in this world. What's my place? Like, I'm just starting to figure that out. You know what I mean? And I think that's been my struggle in the past. And I think that's like the hard thing about most of this world, dude, is if you don't have this is where I'm going, this is where I want to be, it's hard to freaking start to do stuff to get there.
Yeah.
Unless you have a clear vision. And I feel like I'm blessed with that right now. I feel like you're blessed with that right now, but not everybody is. And I feel like it's hard to listen to this sometimes if you don't have that. And I guess maybe we should talk about like that, getting into the cold plunge, whether you know what your vision is or not. Maybe that's like the thing that helps people, or maybe it's like helping people understand their vision. And I don't fucking know.
Well, but, I know that
everybody
fishing,
fucking deals with so much shit.
You got to correlate it to fishing, right? From a fishing podcast. Anglers that are trying to make it in the industry, if they don't put themselves out there enough and present, they're not presented as many opportunities because they're too refined or consolidated, or they're just not taking chances. You have to be willing to take multiple chances. And just like luck, where people will argue it's preparation meeting opportunity, right? Like, you have to prepare and you have to do the things that are just small tasks consistently. And in the fishing world, the only way you're going to get better is by continuously doing the little things over and over and over, and putting yourself out there. And if you want to be the next Sam Sobey, or you want to be the next Elite Series qualifier, or you want to be, Fothergill, or you want to be whatever, it does take all of the little things over a long period of time, the 1% change every day that amounts to large success. And you can't argue with it, because it doesn't just go from zero to hero. And when opportunities present themselves, you won't recognize them nearly as well as if you are prepared or consistently chasing it, because you have to fail first. And people don't enter the tournament scene in fishing and win their first 10 events. They'll lose 5 and realize, this sucks. I don't want this. I want to feel success. So you have to fall on your face. That is part of getting better. Mm-hmm. You have to start a podcast and have a bad podcast, or have 2 good seasons and get 10 years in and then totally bomb for the fire to be relit. Because again, it's not who you were that prior year. It's who you were 10 years ago or a year ago that made you where you're at. And I don't think enough people see the reality in fishing when it comes to technique specific trial and error. Like, do you think Ethan Fothergill or Bob Downey or Seth Feider just picked up one jig, went out there, threw it, and it was successful? I guarantee you they tried 20, 30, 40, 50 different similar techniques for days and days and days until they found one with the right hook, with the right ball, with the right rod, with the right line, until they realized, this is my comfort zone and how I feel it, how I throw it.
Years of
time
making.
You have to try the things that you don't know. You have to. It's the only way that you'll learn instinctually. You won't have any advice to teach. How else do you show somebody? How else do you carry on a legacy? How else do you pass down generations of knowledge? Or, I mean, it's relevant in every industry. And in the fishing industry is no different. It's such a niche-y, clubby appearance because it's such a high risk, high reward. Fail rate is so high that only like the big wins and the consistent big wins, which are few and far between, really are noticeable.
It's somewhat of a facade of appearances.
Yeah, well, which is okay.
I'm not saying it is a bad thing, but it's a matter of like what people think a fishing pro is versus what a fishing pro is. It's two different things.
Right.
But what I've noticed about the successful folks and kind of those moments of my success, and this is a little controversial, but you know this thing called life, dude? Over the past, however long we've been talking, I've kind of put some things together, and I think I figured it out.
Let's hear it.
Find your autism. Whatever that is. We all have a level of autism in us.
It's called touch of the tism.
Touch of the tisms. The tism is a spectrum, okay?
Okay.
And I've found when I'm most like infatuated and just into something to the point where I can't put it down, like certain autistic kids are with math, or like find that thing that you're autistic about, that you're different than everybody else about, right? Whatever that is that makes you so obsessed and so like that's, I guess, what I've found most success in life are the things I am most autistic about. And I don't know if it's ever been put that way, mostly due to political correctness in society.
Sure.
But I feel like there might need to be a book written titled Find Your Autism, dude. And I do think, like, that's a term of positivity. That's not talking about, like, I'm talking about the positive aspects of autism. I think, like, whatever special need you are diagnosed with, if you're diagnosed with that, you have a superpower, right?
Yep. So
when I say that, what I mean is find your superpower. And I guess maybe that's not easy, right? Maybe I was lucky and maybe I'm just more autistic. So it was more obvious. You know what I mean? Sure. But like, that's what I get out of this, man. Like looking at you and like looking at what you're truly, where you go deep and more in depth and more just pure than anybody else with your art. That's your autism, baby.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
We all have it.
Touch of the tism.
We all have a touch of the tisms.
Have you ever heard that? Touch of the tism?
Oh, yes. And what is your tism? That is the question.
Yeah.
The question isn't whether if you have the tism. The question is, what is your tism?
You should say this more eloquently with a voice of a
true ladies' man. If you have the tism, everybody has the tism, they just don't know what it is. Some tisms like to dance. Some tisms like to sing.
Sing along.
Some tisms like to catch them a bass. Some tisms like to build them a rod. Some tisms like to give massages for a living. Some tisms like to do administrative work. Some tisms prefer accounting. Some tisms prefer investment strategies in 401ks.
James Chapman.
Edward Jones, specializing in the investment tism. The investment, that's right, the investment tism. Yeah, I got some investmentisms.
Oh, that's funny.
You got some investmentisms?
Oh.
I'm balancing 3 investmentisms right now between my rod business, my tattooing business, my horsing business.
The tour.
my tour. I have a tour.
It's good, Teal. It's all good. It's all good, man.
Hey, Dane, I have one last thing.
I'd love to hear it.
Do you remember the poop?
Oh, God.
I know. It's not your favorite memory.
Well, we can talk about it just for a second because, man, that area that I found down there on Tatanka Cicada, over in Cicada, that area was just so juicy, dude. And so many teams weighed so many big bass off that stretch.
It was the right area.
Dang it. And I should have just set the hook on all of them in practice. But I didn't. And we went there. We just did not catch them. But we went up into the channels and we found a pile of 1.5 to 3 pound bass.
I feel like we could have caught a bigger bag had we never left the channels.
Sure.
But I just wanted to show you 2 new poop baits fresh from Japan.
What in the absolute is this?
I'll tell you what it is. It is the poop, a bullhead, and a tube having a 3-way, and that 3-way results in a child. And that child is what you're holding right there. Never before seen in America. That right there. I don't even want to say it out loud right now.
This bait right here reminds me of a Chomper's, like, skirted.
But
this little thing, it's like a Power Team Lures.
You remember that poop you're throwing?
Yeah.
Imagine that with a little tube skirt on it and some bullhead whiskers. I thrown it in the water. I seen it.
Oh, it would get chomped on. Now, this thing.
Another poop style lure weighing over
joke.
half an ounce.
Has got to be a joke. But throwing it in the wind would be completely and utterly epic. Because the density, this motor oil, the throw, I mean...
I bet they eat that on Lake Minnetonka.
Dude, you screw lock this with like a... 4-aught.
I'm just talking about, you've seen the poop. You've seen what the poop can do. And I was just going to show you some further evolutions of said poop.
I bet this falling on a weightless hook, this tail, does something goofy.
The arms go...
Because it falls so slowly, just...
And you think about, like, on a muddy, kind of shitty dock, that tail's when you're
pushing water.
It's shoveling bottom and pushing water.
Yeah.
And you could trim it into a V.
Yeah.
Or a...
Yeah.
But yeah, that is the Valley Hill Heavy Tank and the Signal Mamba. Well, dude, it's about...
EBI tank. Look at that crawdad on there. Who does this thing, dude? Who makes this package designing? This is...
I'll tell you,
this
man.
doesn't even look... This is like...
So, bro, you've seen what the poop can do. Like, if you were to fish a bank behind somebody when that deal's going, right? And the guy's got a jig or a Senko, and you got that poop in your hand. Now, like, that's just my train of thought here, right? That's my train of thought here with what I'm showing you right now. And in a dirty water scenario or the right scenario, I think this is what's coming down the pipe with bass fishing because I've seen it firsthand. And I think a lot of people will ignore it because there's not maybe the instant feedback from the lure. I think poop was the hardest thing for me to pick up and keep throwing. But once again, I think the guys who are willing to make that sacrifice are paying off dividends. And talk about there's some bullhead lures out there. None of them come through grass. None you can throw shallow through the shit.
None, yeah.
So
thing looks cute, man.
Yeah, dude. I'm excited when I go to Japan here into January. I'm gonna bring you home like 4 different pistol grips, and we're gonna make a bait casting scoping rod.
Bait casting scoping
Yep,
rod.
strolling minnow rod, a bait caster, dude. And I think like there's a market for that. Nobody's doing it. And I think that should be a fun 2025 project for you.
Pistol grip.
Yeah. Like, think about shaking a minnow. And now think about on a bait caster.
Like a BFS casting rod?
Like a lighter casting reel, whether it's a BFS reel or like a 70 spool size, right? You're throwing, 30 to 80 feet, with either bigger minnow, right? Bigger than your spinning rod setup, 5, 6, 7-inch minnow, or a school of minnows. Shake, 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 shake. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Don't talk about that one.
But if you think about on a bait caster with a little like a little pistol grip,
yep,
how accurate, and you can roll cast and nothing's in your way. You can shake anywhere around your trolling motor with a pistol grip.
Yeah.
And you really think about like a strolling rod, you don't need it's not like a jig rod where you got to fucking bust a hole in your ribs.
Right.
You know what I mean?
We just kind of reel.
It's real. But being able to sling and think about Bill Dance with the spinnerbait in his prime, now forward facing sonar style. No one's doing it, and I don't know why I wouldn't want a pistol grip on my minnow stick. We're not talking about jacking one 100 feet away here on a sea rig. I mean, we're talking about a little minnow stick, a minnow stick. A little pistol grip, close combat. You don't pull out the sniper rifle when you're about to shoot a zombie 20 yards away. You pull out your pistol, bud. You know what I mean?
You make a great point.
I bring the pistol grip back, baby. That's all I'm saying. Vocelka Fishing Customs
at least offer it.
Is bringing the pistol grip back. You want to scope? Pistol grips back, baby. Scope straight or scope home with the Vocelka Fishing Customs pistol grip.
I love it.
So, I guess, is this kind of it for now for you, or you got
Holy smokes,
are you just kind of okay, I've got enough on my plate here to last me 20, 30 years. I'm just going to kind of really just hone in on this. No?
Nope. It's not big enough.
It's not big enough.
Gonna build more rods, gonna create more jobs. Keep them in America.
Are you saying that
Tournament
you're going to abolish slavery one rod builder at a time?
We're going to make a chain of tattoo studios. We're going to create somehow camps for kids to learn how to fish and high school things and clubs things and support youth fishing. And it's
but you're not going to be starting any new businesses or anything.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that, Teal.
So you ain't slowing down is what you're saying.
No.
Do you think you're speeding up?
Yep, I do. Fortunately, I do. I think the next 20 years are going to be pretty busy.
Just remember, there's a brake on your vehicle. Pump them some when you need to. And just remember, there's a lot of people that love you.
Speaking of vehicles,
there's a lot of people that care about you.
Did you drive your truck here?
Damn right.
Jesus.
Got the new water pump installed, and she's back to ticking. She's cost me a bit of money this year.
Jeez, Louise. That's 3 times she's been in the shop.
Fuck, that you know about. Minus the oil changes.
Oh, jeez, Louise.
Hey, man.
That's real world problems. It's part of it.
This is a public service announcement from Teal's Bass Galaxy.
Yeah.
Life's a bitch.
It can be.
Get through it. Or don't. Move on. Do what you can. Stay alive. You know what I mean? Stay alive. Don't die. Keep going. Stay alive. Right? This truck, it's a truck, Stay alive. Keep going. It's no truck's worth dying for. I know you love that truck, okay? But you're better than that. Don't you go dying on me.
Red squirrels under the hood.
Oh, yeah. That was the craziest one, dude. The red squirrel. I wonder if I still have that voicemail. Do you think I do?
There's no way it auto-deleted.
I don't know if there's one I kept. I think it was that one. I think it's a ways down. Talk about something while I find
it's got to be sometime.
When did it happen? August.
No, that would have been the second team trail event. That would have been like...
Oh, the red squirrel. Yeah, that was June.
That would have been like, June. From an unknown number. One you definitely listen to.
Appleton, Minnesota?
Nope. That Appleton sounds like a rod. That sounds like not what we're talking about. Oh.
Nope.
No. Well, there are moments in time that you saved. See? Just like video content. You have this voicemail that probably just will blow your mind when you're able to pull it back. You did at one point text it to us. I know that it was sent via text, but
I think I found it.
There has to have been. It would have been 3 days before our second team trail event.
Found it.
And this is incredible.
Hey Aaron, this is Austin at Suburban Chevrolet. I'm just calling on the Silverado. I only got an update from the tech on it. If you want to give me a call back, it's kind of an interesting case. I think you got a red squirrel caught in your cooling fan. So it broke one of the fins off the fan, and that's the clicking that you hear is actually a red squirrel spinning around in there. Radiator is leaking, so recommended a radiator and a thermostat auto too. Other than that, just, rear brakes are low, front pads are hanging up, and rear axle seal is leaking.
No, all your shit's broken in the red squirrel.
952.
So I'm following Teal down to the Mississippi River, and he's like, bro, my truck is broken and I have to pull over, and it's making loud noises and it's steaming and it's just all these problems, so you gotta come pick me up. Dude, bro, I'm like 30 minutes behind you. Let me call my brother real quick. He lives in Savage. We'll be able to help you. So I have the Glacier Ice House attached to the Suburban, and I pull in behind him, and I'm like, bro, what is going on? And he's like, I don't know, but it's effed, and the vehicle won't work. So I call my Suburban Chevrolet connection. I call a few other Suburban Chevrolet connections, and we get the vehicle towed
to Suburban,
and Teal and I drive down. I head down first. You came down with Drew.
Me and my boat.
Yep. My brother brings the boat down to Wabasha. Yep. So now it's me in the Glacier. I dropped off the Glacier. I unattached the vehicle, and I head back north to grab my boat. So I went down and back to my house to grab the boat, and back down that night. And you had your boat down there. So it was one vehicle, my Suburban, with two bass boats and a Glacier Ice House. And the only way to get Teal in and out of the water was to hook up my vehicle and back my boat in, and then disconnect my trailer and hook up Teal's boat. Well, we did that the first morning. And Teal took my vehicle down the river to
Weaver Bottoms,
where he
I pooped that morning,
and his wallet fell out of his pocket, and he didn't know it. And
there's no way it fell out of my pocket.
He backed my boat down the ramp.
Nope, my boat, your truck.
Yep, my truck, his boat, down the ramp. And
it wouldn't go into drive. When I tried to take the trailer out of the water,
yep,
I noticed that Dane's Suburban would not shift into drive.
So he gets it in the drive, parks it, fishes for the day, comes back, and goes to take the boat out of the water.
Same issue.
Blows the transmission on the ramp. Now, mind you,
I wasn't trying.
No, not trying. But now we have his boat down in Weaver Bottoms, my boat at Wabasha Marina, my Glacier at Wabasha Marina ramp. No vehicles for anything.
2 boats, 1 fish house, 0 vehicles.
Fishing a tournament to win.
With 1 day of practice left.
Dang it.
And yeah.
Dang it.
We have ice transportation, we have water transportation, we have 0 way to move any of these pieces of equipment. Unless Dane babied his transmission and like however the fuck he babied it.
First and second gear, I put a little bit of transmission fluid stuff in there. I can't remember what it was. Lucas oil stuff. I was able to drive on the shoulder of the road at 35, 40 miles an hour after the tournament all the way back home to get my transmission completely replaced for a total of like $8,000. That's what it cost, which is a fraction of what Teal and I have spent in entirety for the entire year between vehicles.
Yeah.
Because then we proceeded to rip a talon off the back, a pole, a talon anchor, or a spike off the back, and he lost his wallet, and we just...
New set of tires, radiators, some leaf spring, your alignment's a little off.
Just when you think you have it bad.
Just when you think you have it good. Like, I swear to God, dude, when I'm like, yeah, dude, this shit's going good. It's like, But the big thing is, when I was in my younger years, those bad things, I used to let them just ruin me. And the thing is I feel like I'm doing a good job deflecting that stuff.
Yes.
And it still just hasn't worked out. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I'm just like, my deflecting's supposed to work better. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
But yet maybe it's not. Maybe the deflecting is the working better. Yeah. And you just keep deflecting.
Oh.
Is life a deflection then? Is that the key to life? Deflection? You can't just gaslight your way through life, Dane.
Truth.
You can't just lie your way through life.
You really can't.
You can't. You have to. Like, there's... What the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah. You got to go through it, Teal.
Here's what I know. For the first time ever in America, Americans are going to have the opportunity to teabag a bass next year. Do you know how exciting that is for me?
Come again?
You've caught a bass before, but you've never teabagged a bass.
No.
Like stuck some balls in its mouth and made him eat them.
Correct.
Well, I'd like to just think that I might be the first man in Minnesota who's teabagged over 30 bass. I think I might be the first guy who teabagged the first one. Now, maybe some weirdos out there who actually stuck their balls in a bass, that doesn't count, okay? I'm talking about the AK punch from IC Lures, okay? The Dickin' balls, the scrotum, the cover scat of the future, the jackhammer cover scat, the vibrational worm, the vibrational gravity bait you can put in cover. I threw that bait this fall, and I teabagged the fuck out of the bass on it. Nobody knows about it yet, but they're gonna. And 3 years from now, Dane, mark my words, Dane.
AK
3
punch.
years from now, 3 years from now, anybody who listens back to this podcast, this is going to be a normal exercise, teabagging a bass with your hands. Right now, it's new. 3 years from now, mark my words. I'm stamping this in the galaxy. Bass anglers will be teabagging bass on the reg. Scrotum in mouth. Hook set. Done. Teabagged.
That's incredible.
Teabagged. I'm not kidding. It's the most fun lure I've ever thrown.
I believe it.
Think about a Senko and a blade bait. Fucked. Had a kid. Could you throw a Senko and a blade bait at the same time? Yes, you can. You didn't think you could. Can you throw a blade bait into a tree and get it out? with a bass on it. You didn't think you could, but yes, you can.
This thing.
It literally, like, you put a 16th ounce nail weight perpendicular through one side of the sack, Texas rig it on a Masayuki hook, throw it out there. It falls more erratic than a cover scat. Backslides. And when you pull it, it feels like a fucking jackhammer on your spinning rod. I'm not kidding. There is not a soft plastic lure I've ever thrown that does what that thing can do or feels like that thing on my rod. Whether you're a beginning angler or experienced angler, that bait is easy to throw, fun to fish, and catches the fuck out of them.
It's so weird that you were thinking about finding that type of a plastic, because the other night I was dreaming about a blade bait being plastisol. Like, how could you get a plastic to go?
How could you skip a blade bait under a dock and fish it like a Ned rig and a blade bait at the same time? Man, I hope you guys are appreciative of this podcast, because man, I have let out some shit. I might cut this.
Don't do that.
If they go to eBay, I won't.
Teal, 3 hours. Do you got another 30 minutes in you?
I fucking got 3 more hours in me.
I wonder
how much time do you got? I'm
I
good.
got so many questions that pertain to technique, specific applications, certain things that you prefer, you know. This is a fishing podcast. I want to know more about your line choices, your hook sizes, your style of weights, what you're putting in there, lead versus tungsten, when you use it on something like this even. Like, I'm curious, because you could take, here's a great example. Me and PJ McDeed, Blackfish Classic last year. Okay?
I've been thinking about
so freaking underrated, Mr. Patrick McDeed. Okay?
PJ McDeed, Dane Vocelka, both underrated anglers.
Dude, he's a freaking hammer. Okay? So, drop shot. Not going to tell you what he was throwing on it. Not going to tell you how he dipped it. But, same leader length, same drop shot weight, similar hook, same plastic, dipped the same way. He was able to catch 4 to my 1. I don't know why. But there's something to your line diameter, your...
How was he fishing it? What was he fishing it on? That would be my question. And how is it different than what you were fishing it on?
7 foot 1, the spinning rod. 10-pound braid. I believe we were both throwing it on 10-pound fluorocarbon.
So same line.
18-inch drop shot leader.
Same leader.
He may have had a lead weight and I had tungsten. So mine maybe fell slightly different.
It sounds
his hook was an octopus red hook, where I was using like a true drop shot stinger, like a B10S stinger from Gami.
It sounds like, based on our conversation, it's more how he was holding and moving and or not moving the worm.
Right. So we'd both cast out at the same time, same clump, same edge. Boop. Line goes down, hits the bottom, hold the rod tip up. Shake, 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 shake. Boom. He's got him. And I'm like, okay.
He gets bit after the shake and you don't?
Shake,
I thought he wasn't shaking it.
He doesn't move it. He'll hold it there for a while.
He doesn't shake, shake, shake.
Not typically. He holds it for a while, and then he'll move it, and then he'll hold it, and he'll hold it, and then just boom. So what I've noticed is some of these fish, when you flip this drop shot weight and lure, whatever, into the water, 20, 30 feet from the boat, hits the water, it falls. Bail's open, line spooling off the reel, it's spooling off. Okay, it goes slack on the water. You still let a little bit out. You close the bail. Your braid is floating on the surface.
You got slack line.
You're reeling it up, and you pick it up. And you're picking it up till it's taut.
Like, not tight, but not slack.
It bows. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And he's waiting for the kung, right? But then he reels it up and pulls it just so it's tight so he can kind of shake it. And we both are doing the same thing, but his bites were 4 to my 1. Why? And we giggled about it for weeks, and me and him, we don't know why. There's no way that the school of fish was 2 feet over and beyond left and right, because we could switch spots and do the same thing, and he could just and it has bugged me since the day it happened, and I don't know why it happens.
Okay. I don't know either, but I have a question.
Sure.
Before he would cast, did he think he was going to catch a bass? And before you would cast, did you think you were going to catch a bass?
Yeah, I mean, I was as
did you
attentive
both
and into it.
Yeah, that's a weird thing.
That, like, I am gonna 5-pounder, like, right here.
Yeah.
And I mean, we caught 40, 50
caught a lot of bass
in one clump of grass.
Right.
And you know where I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And I found it throwing a tube in there because we were looking, and I turned over and I threw it up there and I got bit. Pulled a bunch of grass off, moved it up to the clump, had already ripped it apart. He throws in, I throw in, he catches one, I don't. He throws in, I don't catch one. So I pick up my drop shot, I fish, he catches 5 more. I look at his bait and his lure and his line and everything, and I'm like, I'm going to make it identical so we can continue to catch them. And he just still catches every cast, every time, all afternoon.
I have to pee so bad, and I'm going to think about it while I pee.
You should.
Okay. I don't know because I have to pee.
It is one of those things where, well, it's presentation. It drives me crazy. It's. He had a red hook. He had an octopus shaped red hook, like a number. No, it was like a 1/0 or 2/0 even. It was big. It was a good gap. And he throws those frickin' Arsenal silicone bands on there, man, like you wouldn't believe. And I'm so stoked that they're coming out with new colors this year, because the chartreuse and the clear and the green and all the stuff is just dynamite. But he throws them on this worm, and he just catches them, dude. I've experienced it with him in walleye fishing too, where we're fishing a current seam, and it's the same current seam. We're on spot lock, and we're rotating spots because we pitch out into the current seam. The bait sweeps down into the seam, and you give it slack until it hits bottom. It's the same jig head. It hits bottom, you lift up, boom, right? And we rotate, so he's on my right, netting his fish. I'm on my left, casting, and we rotate back and forth. And there's something about his touch or his line. And line is so important when it comes to the action of the bait, the fall rate of the bait. And you just don't think about it when you are like a fast shallow water fisherman, because your actions are quick, you're moving, you're like, okay, 15-pound test is light, 17, 20 plus, fluorocarbon straight, go straight braid, moving. And then you get in these situations where, no, dude, there's 200 largemouth right here. And whatever he is doing,
50 guys can fish for him, and they'll catch 5. That's what's crazy about Minnetonka, dude.
And he just, dude, I don't know. I don't know what he does. We talk about it all the time. He doesn't even know. He's like, I don't fuck.
Well, we seen it in Florida with the whopper plopper. We all had the same fucking whopper plopper on, and he was smoking all of us. And he was throwing it on straight mono.
On a spinning rod.
On a spinning rod. And it was like, you wouldn't think it would matter on a little whopper plopper what the fuck you threw it on, right? This guy smoked us on a whopper plopper on a spinning rod with like 12-pound test mono. Okay.
In Florida.
In Florida.
On Jurassic Park.
On Jurassic Park in the shit. Okay. So I really do think that PJ, it could be the line or more plausible, I think that he is able to communicate with extraterrestrial entities. It's one or the other. Like in my mind, he's yeah. PJ is real. Fucking just el natural, if you will. But I got a question for you.
Yeah.
You've built a lot of rods in your day. Mm-hmm. What's the one you're most proud of? Like what's like of your rod building career? What's your most proud accomplishment?
That you know what that is.
I thought I knew the answer, but I had to ask in case it was different. And if it's the answer I think it is, we should talk about that because you can't underestimate the power of that. And it's part of your business story. Like
the hair rod has to be the number one that comes to mind.
Naturally.
The Puppet Master and the Spin Boss have to be the next two most proud, even though they don't sell as many units, but they will.
I'm super proud of all three of those rods. I think your most underappreciated rod is the Big Rig from Outdoors America.
Mayor. I hand-delivered.
By Ron Mayer.
Mayor. I hand-delivered a Big Rig to a young man in Maple Grove yesterday to his father. And the kid didn't know that it came for Christmas, but they were super stoked. And he's like, Ron Mayer said, this is the one that I should buy. So we bought it. And are you the owner? I was like, I am Dane. He goes, holy shit. It's not too often the owner of the business is here hand delivering his product. I'm like, that's the difference. And he smiled and shook my hand and he's like, can't wait to try it. So it was pretty cool. It was a feel-good moment. It was actually just north of Pittsburgh Blue off Weaver Road, like tiny little
I fucking
complex.
Love that rod.
Dude.
That rod is the shit.
It's juicy. Titanium guides, super well balanced. You can't tell what it does or how it feels until you put a rod or a reel in its reel seat and line it up and you try it.
The Big Rig, that's I think what y'all don't understand about the Big Rig is you ain't put a reel on it yet and you ain't put line on it yet and you ain't flipped a jig with it yet.
Such a dirty blank.
My God.
It's so fun.
The biggest bag I caught all year was on that blank.
Mm-hmm.
Like a bunch of 6-pounders.
Yep.
On a big jig. On the Big Rig. Outdoors America style.
He loves that rod.
I love that rod. And your customers should love that rod. They just don't know. I slept on that rod right away. Mm-hmm. Until Hayden handed me his Big Rig with the reel on it and let me flip that big old jig with it. And I'm like, I need one. Okay? So if you're looking for a new, like,
close quarters, 3/8 to 3/4 flipping rod, pretty much. Floral or braid.
3/8 to 3/4 of an ounce, close combat.
Yep.
It is so deceivingly awesome. It's the best way I can describe it. And like,
it's a high end, like thin wall but durable.
It's so deceiving. Like
blank.
It makes sense. Like you and him playing with rods, and like that's the end result you came up with.
Yeah.
But like you're standing in the shop, you're picking up rods. This isn't like the shop rod, but you put a reel on it, you put line on it, you put a jig on it. It might be one of my favorite rods you've ever built, dude. And that I slept on it.
Him and his wife came over and we played with
Thank you for the lasagna, Kathy.
She hung out with little Miss Laney when she was like 4 or 5 months old, and we played what blank do you like all night long.
Let's play the blank game.
And my wife was like, okay, Dane, I think we've figured out which one Ron likes. And it just needed to be cut down a little bit. And then I started playing with it. And now I have to go home and make 6 of them because my wife tied 6 today, and I have to epoxy them.
I need another one. So if you just, don't have a home for one of them 6, I can give you my address, but you already know it.
Oh, that blanket is so sick.
In my mind, I need 2 big rigs, one with 50-pound braid, one with 22-pound fluorocarbon. Okay?
Oh.
And if there's damage that needs to be done with 22-pound fluorocarbon or 50-pound braid, the big rig is what you need. I don't know what them hand signs are, but that's for his wife, who's not here right now.
Are we going south to fish open water this winter for like a weekend? Just a weekend?
I can't afford it, but I'd love to. It's all I want to do, but it's all I can't afford to do. Nipper wants to go to Table Rock, and that might be an option. For me, I'm going to Japan. I would like to go down to Alabama and interview some Bama boys, some Father Gills, some Kyle Welchers, some folks down there.
Yep.
I would like to go to Michigan and interview some Zonas and some folks there. And that's kind of like, unfortunately, I want to go wreck some bass this year. Homie made too many poor financial decisions to be able to do that, A. And B, homie's climbing out of those and needs to make some smart decisions the rest of this winter so he can go next winter. But the crackhead in me is struggling internally with all of those things because I have less self-control than you.
We are going to find a way to integrate Rod Sales and Aaron Teal.
Oh, I know. We just talked about it, and I'm excited, and I'm ready. And if anybody believes in what you're doing, it's fucking me.
It's gonna be fun.
It's been fun. I just, dude, here to help, dude.
Holy smokes.
All I want to do is see you succeed, and I want to see Helga blossom into, the glorious Vocelka that she is. And I want to make sure that there isn't, childhood-induced trauma along the way, man. That's what I'm here for.
Well, you're going to have to sell more rods for that to happen.
Well, I just know if you've listened this far, hopefully you've got a better glimpse into Mr. Vocelka, who he is, what he does, how he ticks, and hopefully you understand why he's like my best fucking friend. So fucking proud of you, dude.
Thank you, brother. And likewise, I don't think the appreciation is extended back to the host as much as it should be. You have done so much since, oh my gosh, do you even want to YouTube search Aaron Teal and really bring up the history of what you've accomplished from your early preteen, teenage years?
I'm just a degenerate that loves bass fishing just like everybody else, brother.
It's a real passion. It's cool.
It's more than a passion.
It's a life.
It's a problem.
It's an addiction. But
some problems are good.
I'm glad that I was homeless and I ended up on your couch.
Dude, I'm glad I was smart enough to pick the right homeless guy. There's a lot of homeless guys out there, and
I took showers.
I got to be honest. This doesn't mean you should pick up a homeless guy, and that's a good decision. Here's the deal. If you're recruiting homeless folk, there's some strategy to it, okay?
Yep.
I'll lay it out
Yep.
on my Instagram story next week, okay?
Yep.
There's a real financial strategy with homeless people. Pick the wrong one, your fucking investment's over, okay? You pick the right one, he just might own the fucking Champions Tour, okay? So maybe listen to an expert here, because I got this shit figured out, okay?
Yeah, what a wild ride.
I got lucky to find a fucking smart homeless guy, I'll tell you that much, dude. Proud of you.
Thank you, brother. Proud of you, too.
And Danny? Proud of you, too.
Atta girl, Seabiscuit.
Atta girl. Well, you know what, Dane? It's long overdue.
Mono-E-Mono.
Mono-E-Mono.
Little bit of forecasting, a little bit of history, a little bit of storytelling, a little bit of all the things.
A little bit of Dane and Teal sprinkles for the boys at home and a couple of gals.
The whole pudding cannot be eaten in chapter 1.
You can't have your pudding if you don't eat your meat. This is Teal's Bass Galaxy checking in, checking out.